Our hero was reading a novel about his kingdom that would be destroyed by demons after 100 years, and when he mocks this novel and throws it away, he's shocked to find himself transported into it, to live out its events in the body of a weak prince whose brothers are trying to kill him, so one of them can win the emperor's position. But he challenges everyone and becomes the strongest. The servant enters to the emperor carrying his special meal, asking him to eat, emphasizing that everyone is worried about his health, and that he hasn't eaten anything at all for a long time. Emperor Agnes watches her and tells her that she is despicable. The servant is shocked by his words and quickly apologizes, telling him that she will remove the food from before him immediately, and that she didn't know he wouldn't like it. Agnes tells her to calm down, adding that he wasn't talking to her, but rather meant the book he was reading, and that this book is called the Book of Borsmeer. He wonders indignantly how such a filthy book entered his palace library. The servant is surprised and asks him about the content of this book that caused him all this anger. He answers that it's a book that imagines the fate of the kingdom and his family 100 years from now. He explains that the kingdom had entered into war against the Demon King and his army, but it refused to help the hero, so the kingdom and the ruling family were destroyed. Because of this, his family became famous for treachery and cowardice because they betrayed the hero, and the world suffered because of them. Agnes gets agitated and says that the bastard author included so many details in the book as if he had seen the future himself. He throws the book away and says that bastard doesn't know his strength or his family's strength, and that it's impossible for anyone to destroy his kingdom and family. He adds that this matter isn't important, and that the mistake was his for reading a novel by a failed writer, trying to attract attention by insulting his family. He asks the servant to return to her work and that he will eat by himself. She answers, very well, and leaves him quickly. Emperor Agnes remains thinking about what he read, in a state of anger, telling himself that he achieved great accomplishments by unifying the first human kingdom to face the demons, so much so that even the demons themselves respected him, and that he was known as the strongest emperor in the world. But he admits to himself that this was a long time ago, and now he has no goal in life, having achieved everything he wanted. There isn't a single piece of land on the continent that isn't under his control, yet he feels extremely bored. He wonders if there's something he can do, as he doesn't want to live this boredom for the rest of his life. Then he decides to sleep and think about it later. Some time passes, and the events move to another place. We see one of the guards running away inside the youngest prince's palace, and this guard was wronged. He says to himself, "What's happening? Where are the guards and where are the royal forces? There's no one protecting Prince John at all." He adds that Prince John is weak and lost his right to compete for the throne, but he's also a prince and should be protected. So why did everyone abandon him? The guard continues his escape, saying that even if this escape leads to his doom and destroys his life, he must keep Prince Jaeon safe. At that moment, he's surprised by the appearance of two assassins blocking his way. One of them attacks him, saying he should have abandoned the prince like everyone else and looked after himself. The guard quickly dodges his attacks, but finds the other assassin attacking him, trying to hit him. The guard gathers all his strength to face both attacks together. At that moment, one of the assassins rushes toward Prince Jaeon, trying to stab him, but the guard quickly moves him away before he gets hurt, telling them they are cowards with no honor. The assassin laughs, saying he should have run and left Jaeon, and now he will die with him. At that moment, more assassins appear behind the guard, preparing to attack him. The guard throws Prince Jaeon away from them and asks him to wait, promising he will save him and get rid of these bastards now, swearing by his honor as his personal guard. At that moment, the assassins attack guard Rito, trying to eliminate him, while he fights off their attacks and asks them who they are and who gave them orders to target Prince Jaeon. One of the assassins answers that they will both die and he won't need to know the answer. Then another assassin heads toward Prince John and attacks him, saying he knows John's life was difficult, and no one loved or respected him, so he will free him from this torment and kill him right now. Fredo is shocked and calls out to Jaeon, asking him to dodge the attack and run quickly, but the assassin attacks him, saying he won't be able to escape, and it's better for him to die here instead of being an obstacle to them. Jaeon responds, "Shut up, you're not allowed to talk like that." The assassin is surprised when he finds his sword suddenly stopped, and he can no longer stab Jaeon. The head assassin asks him what he's doing, and why he didn't finish him off and end the mission. The assassin answers that he's unable to move, and his entire body isn't responding to his commands. At that moment, Jaeon awakens and asks what he's doing here, then gets up and grabs that assassin's sword, asking if a lowlife like him really wanted to kill him. The assassin asks for help from his colleagues, screaming for them to rescue him quickly because he can't move. His colleagues rush to attack Jaeon, saying they will get rid of him quickly, but Jaeon uses his special ability called Black Star Fall. An enormous, dark energy emanates from him, hitting all the assassins and eliminating them in one moment. Fredo was shocked by what happened and asked Jaeon about the truth of what was happening, confirming that it's impossible for this to be the Prince Jaeon he knows. Jaeon answers him, laughing that he's indeed not his previous self, and it becomes clear to us that he's actually Emperor Agnes, who has been embodied inside the novel he hated so much. After 100 years in the future and before his family's destruction, Agnes kept laughing, saying that apparently things are over, then recalls that in the novel he read there were many of his family members who die in the future, including a very weak prince characterized by unstable magic and a frail body that can't even support itself. And when he failed to prove his strength in the throne struggle, he was completely isolated. Agnes watches Joan and says he would never have expected to be embodied in the most failed character and weakest member in the history of the family he belongs to. According to what was mentioned in the novel, Jaeon was supposed to die in the assassin's attack on his palace, but he saved him at the last moment. Agnes adds that fortunately, he didn't transfer with just his soul, but some of his previous strength also transferred to Jaeon's body. Then he explains that his special ability that he retained from his past life is the Falling Black Star ability, and without this ability he would have died in Jaeon's body due to his greatly weakened strength. Agnes examines his strength in Jaeon's body and feels that all his sensations and feelings are completely numb, realizing that there's something different about Jaeon's character, and that this boy had been suffering for a long time. Agnes says that if he's really embodied in the novel Hero Baspid, this means the last ambush isn't important, because 3 years from now, the demons will attack the human world, and the entire kingdom will be destroyed. Because of his family's betrayal of the hero was forced to fight the Demon King's army alone and lost, and the kingdom was destroyed shortly after. Agnes admits he doesn't know exactly what's happening, but he might return to his body and the real world at any time, so he sees that he must save this world first and will change everything here. He continues, saying that the most important event in the near future will be the first battle between humans and demons 2 years from now, and he must prevent the division that will happen in the kingdom as a result of family conflicts, so they can face the demons with integrated strength. He notices a problem that his body is currently very weak, and worse than that, the Black Star ability didn't transfer with its full power, so its current ability is much weaker than the original. He wonders how a side character like him can save the world, finding it difficult to trust anyone here, and there's severe danger as he might die at any moment. Agnes feels his heart beating for the first time with fear, and keeps laughing, saying he remembered this enjoyable feeling. Now he's afraid and feels tense, seeing that he's the weakest here and there are many who want to eliminate him, even the demons, considering this the pleasure he sought throughout his life. Jaeon decides he should first cleanse his surroundings and search for the bastard who tried to assassinate him and deal with him. Jaeon leaves his room while inspecting the surroundings. Fredo is surprised and asks if he's alright. Jaeon responds that there's no one on earth crazy enough to try to assassinate a prince from the royal family except Agnes himself, meaning the person responsible for this incident is extremely powerful, and it's very likely to be one of his brothers or family members, which is why the guards weren't present when the assassins attacked. Jaeon tries to leave the palace, but one of the guards stops him asking about his destination. He answers that he will go out to stroll outside the palace. The guard tells him he can't do this because night has fallen. Jaeon reassures him not to worry, as the place is safe and no one can hurt him, but the guard insists, saying they have clear orders not to let him leave. Jaeon laughs and asks if he received an order from a specific person, then attacks and kills him, saying that knights follow his orders alone, and he doesn't remember ordering any bastard among them to prevent him from going out. The other guard is afraid, so he clears the way for Jaeon and assures him he will carry out his orders, while Freddy was surprised and wondering to himself what's going on, noting that Jaeon wasn't this violent before. Jaeon goes out and contemplates the moon, finding it a blood moon, saying he's now completely certain he's in the novel's world. After that, all the guards in the palace arrive at Jaeon's location and ask him what he's doing and why he did that. Jaeon tells them that the attack wouldn't have happened if all the guards had been in their places, and accordingly, he considers all the guards here traitors except Fredo, mentioning that the punishment for a traitor is always known, and it's death. The guard captain asks him what's happening and why he killed one of the guards assigned to protect him. Jaeon answers that it's a stupid question and he will execute everyone because of their betrayal of the royal blood. At that moment, the guards were surprised and asked Jaeon what he meant by his words. He answered them, saying that this guard was accused of committing numerous crimes like them, including neglecting his duties, insulting his master, and failing to follow orders, the latest being his escape from the palace during the attack, and because of that, he had to be punished by death. Then he explained to them that he, as prince of the kingdom, had judged them all for treason and that their fate was now death. He asked them if they had any confession or final wish before their execution. The guard captain became angry and said that the prince had discovered their betrayal and their participation in the assassination attempt, and this meant they had no choice but to act. He ordered his soldiers to draw their swords and assured them that they would get rid of Prince Jeon in accordance with their orders. Jeon was laughing and saying that this situation was entertaining, as no one in his previous life had ever dared to betray him. The guard captain attacked Jeon, saying he would finish him off, but Jeon continued laughing and told him that he had asked him to confess his crime before his death, but he hadn't done so and instead added another crime. The captain told him to shut up and die, then attacked him with all his strength, but Jeon easily dodged his attacks and responded with dark magic, saying he would add to his crimes the attempt to assassinate the prince himself. He explained that it wouldn't make a difference because he would die anyway. The guards and soldiers were amazed when they saw this power, and said it was impossible for the weak Prince Jeon to have easily defeated their strong captain. And Fredo was shocked and couldn't believe what happened, saying this wasn't the prince he knew. Then Jeon addressed the soldiers, saying he could eliminate them all as he did with their captain. But wounded dogs are better than new dogs, and they now knew their fate, and from this moment they would obey no orders except his alone. Fredo and all the soldiers bowed before him, declaring their loyalty to him, and Jeon was laughing, saying he hadn't felt this fear in his enemies' hearts for a long time. The next day, Jeon began his training in the palace using his special ability, saying that if his calculations were correct, he would soon be able to raise the power of the falling black star to 1 star. At that moment, Fredo came and told him there was a guest who wanted to meet him. Jeon asked him about her identity, and he answered that she was his fiancée Priscilla. Then Jeon remembered from the novel that Priscilla was an important character known as the Princess of Bad Luck, and he hadn't known before that she was engaged to Jeon in the novel. Jeon went to Priscilla to meet her, and she apologized to him, saying she didn't want to waste his time, and explained the reason for her visit. Then said she came to ask him to break off the engagement between her and him, and she realized the timing was bad, but she was forced to do so, and pointed out that if he objected, they could reach an agreement. Jeon told her he wasn't interested and agreed to her request. Priscilla was surprised by his response and asked him what he meant by his words, but he left her and departed while repeating his agreement to break off the engagement, and promised to send an official letter to her family and the royal family when he had the chance. Priscilla was shocked, wondering what was happening and why he agreed so quickly, and when Jeon left, he was surprised by Priscilla's guards lining up in front of him, where one of them stopped him and asked him to return inside and apologize to Priscilla. Jeon asked him what he meant by apologizing, and the guard answered that Priscilla was from distinguished nobles, and he shouldn't have treated her this way. Jeon laughed, showed his boldness, then immediately gave his opinion on the guard's demand. Meanwhile, Priscilla was in her room, wondering what was happening, and why Jeon abandoned her so coldly, even though he used to beg her family to let him marry her, and she felt that Jeon was the one who broke off the engagement, not her. She decided not to let him reject her like this, so if the engagement had to be broken off, she would be the one to do it. She left her room to call him and tell him she needed to talk to him, but she was surprised that Jeon had defeated her personal guard and overcome him easily, and said in amazement that it was impossible for Jeon to defeat her family's strongest knight Griego without even touching him. Another guard tried to attack Jeon using his magic, but Jeon attacked him and almost killed him, but he changed his mind because he found him too weak to be killed. Then struck him with a dark aura that severely injured him, then grabbed him and told him he had forgiven him this time and threw him next to Priscilla with a warning to know his place, and that they were just insects in his way that he would crush whenever he wanted. Priscilla was shocked by everything she saw and said this wasn't the Jeon she knew, as he had been a cowardly weakling. Jeon told her to take her guards and leave the place, pointing out that he had forgiven them out of respect for her and her family only, but if it happened again, he wouldn't spare their lives. Priscilla ran quickly after Jeon and told him to wait and said she wanted to talk to him, but Jeon found her an annoying girl and asked her what she needed, confirming that there was nothing to talk about between them anymore, as she was no longer his fiancée. After Priscilla asked Jeon to allow her to stay in his palace for some time under the pretext of attending the procedures for breaking off their engagement, she assured him that her presence wouldn't bother him, and she was just waiting to finish the official matters. Jeon initially answered with refusal, but then thought about it, wondering to himself what benefit there was in driving her away at this time, especially since he might use her magical ability to discover hidden enemies inside the palace who were difficult for him to identify. He finally told her she could do what she wanted and stay in his palace, so Priscilla was happy and thanked him, promising herself to investigate more about his new mysterious personality, as he seemed completely different from what she was used to before. 3 days passed during which Priscilla was extremely annoyed. She had only seen Jeon once, despite thinking he would have initiated conversation with her since he agreed to let her stay. She began wondering about the reason for his sudden change, and about that strange energy he used to defeat the guards easily. She thought she had to discover his truth today, and not allow him to ignore her anymore. She went where Jaeon was training with his soldiers, and called to him, protesting his disappearance from her for 3 days. She asked him about the reason for allowing her to stay when he constantly avoided her. Jaeon stopped her, speaking calmly, and asked her to speak to him with respect, befitting his position as a prince and her status as a noble, and reminded her that she was the one who asked to stay in the palace, and he wasn't even obligated to talk to her. Priscilla was surprised by his words and promised not to bother him again, then left silently. As for Jaeon, he ignored her completely and asked his guards to increase the night security procedures for a full week, in addition to providing them with strong armor in preparation for any emergency. Another 3 days passed until a group of assassins began attacking Jaeon's palace again. Jaeon was sitting waiting for their arrival to confront them, while the assassin leader sensed the difficulty of penetrating the palace and noticed the intensity of the security unlike what was rumored before. Suspicions arose among them that they were walking into a tight trap. Suddenly, one of the assassins was attacked and killed without them knowing how it happened. Then the rest of the assassins began falling in the darkness one after another, and only the leader remained, who felt extreme fear and asked the attacker to reveal his identity. Jaeon appeared, announcing that he was the one who killed his companions, and that his fate wouldn't be different from theirs. The assassin was stunned. He thought Prince John had hidden his strength in the succession battles, and began trying to escape to inform whoever sent him, but Jaeon surprised him with a Dark Eagle attack and killed him, telling him he had initially intended to let one of them escape to inform their senders. But unfortunately for him, he decided not to be that dog. John continued inspecting the palace, certain that there were other assassins hiding within the walls. Suddenly, he heard sounds of magical explosions, so he wondered what was happening, and remembered that among the assassins were mages, especially since Priscilla was staying in the palace, and she was also a mage. Indeed, Priscilla was facing one of the assassins with her magical attack and wondering about his identity and how he dared to attack a royal palace. Priscilla used wind magic to defend herself, but the assassins managed to repel the attack quickly and expressed their amazement because they hadn't expected a sorceress protecting John to be in the palace. One of the assassins tried to kill Priscilla using slicing magic and attacked her, saying he would finish her off immediately. Priscilla tried to defend herself with shield magic, but the assassin's dagger broke her shield easily, which shocked her and made her fear death. So she began screaming and asking for help. When the assassin was about to finish her off, he was surprised that his body stopped moving without knowing the reason, and while he was in shock, Jaeon appeared attacking him with dark magic and killed him. One assassin remained watching what was happening, overcome by terror, as all their old information about Jaeon was wrong. He was thought to be weak, while today, he seemed strong with a terrifying aura. Jaeon noticed this assassin and asked him if he intended to attack or flee, so he chose the latter and ran away quickly, saying he wanted to stay alive. Jaeon expected this behavior and found it smart. Priscilla approached Jaeon and asked him about the reason for allowing this assassin to escape, so he answered that he had planted dark magic in his body to be able to track him to their base later, and he would now be able to reach them easily. John said threateningly, "Whoever chose to bother me should be patient a little, as I will visit him soon in a deadly visit in revenge for what he did." The next day, Jaeon started his day normally, and was thinking about the recent assassin incident, saying to himself that after that attack, his Black Star ability became as strong as 1 star, making him much more powerful than before. However, he was suffering from a serious problem, which was the weakness of Jaeon's body that was damaged by the internal magical forces, and he realized he needed to strengthen his body better than that. After a while, Jaeon moved to the guest room to meet his half-sister, Evelyn Agnes, who had arrived to talk with him. John described Evelyn as one of the strongest candidates for the position of emperor like him, and that her power was great to the degree that some compared it to the hero's power in the novel. Among all his siblings, she was actually the closest to taking over the rule, as she was the only one who supported the hero in his battle against the Demon King and his army, while the rest of the siblings used that against her. Evelyn began talking with Jaeon, expressing her happiness at seeing him again, and that a long time had passed without them having a friendly meeting. She asked about his conditions, but he seemed reserved, and asked her what she meant by her words, so she told him she had heard about him being subjected to 2 assassination attempts in his palace during the past week. Jaeon replied to her, confirming that he was being watched by everyone, and that those who attacked him were a group of stupid amateurs like the ones she sent, and that he got rid of them quickly. Evelyn was surprised by his approach and said that Jaeon had never treated her this way before. She expressed her sadness, confirming that the recent incident had affected him and damaged his psyche to the point where he no longer trusted anyone, not even his own family. She apologized, saying what happened was her mistake, and that it was her duty to be more careful about his safety. She suggested sending a full squad of her knights to guard him in the palace, so he wouldn't worry about another attack. and promised to hunt down those who harmed him to the end. But Jaeon cut her off, reassuring her that he didn't need her soldiers. He surprised her by saying he was capable of protecting himself, and that he had personally chosen a group of knights to start training them to protect the palace. Then he asked her about the real reason for her visit, mentioning that he didn't believe she came just out of concern for him. Evelyn answered that she really came to check on him after hearing the news. Despite being very busy, she confirmed he was her younger brother, even though they had different mothers. She pointed out a problem waiting for him. He had reached the legal age for the royal family, which would force him to participate in the succession ceremonies soon. She begged him to withdraw from those ceremonies and everything related to succession for his own safety. John was puzzled by her request and asked why. She explained that her motives were fear and love, and said she wouldn't deceive him. If he participated in the ceremonies, she was certain he would fail and might even die. If he succeeded, enemies would multiply around him, and he wouldn't be able to withstand the tests given his weak skills compared to his siblings. She noted that even if he achieved a miracle and succeeded, his life would move to the one-star palace, with siblings whose only concern was the crown and throne. She believed his stay there would be short anyway. Evelyn released part of her power and threatened Jaeon with her star's ability, confirming that even if he passed the tests, he wouldn't survive more than a day. Jaeon examined the energies emanating from her and identified them as celestial sea stars, the ability that distinguished the royal family's children, the power of legitimate heirs to the throne, destined to rule. John laughed, commenting admiringly on Evelyn's strength and acknowledging she truly deserved to rule. But he added that she had only one problem, then released his power before her, revealing the fallen Black Star ability. He asked her, "What fool told you I was weak, or that I wouldn't be able to rule them all?" The events then shifted to Evelyn, returning to her palace, surrounded by guards, who greeted her at the entrance. The guard captain asked why she returned with all the soldiers who had accompanied her. She told him that her brother Jaeon refused to receive them all, which surprised him. Evelyn confirmed she didn't know the reasons, but was convinced of one thing. Her little brother had changed so much that she no longer knew him, and began wondering if he had been like this from the beginning. She also mentioned the strange and mysterious power Jaeon had shown, confirming it wasn't the celestial sea ability specific to family members, and that it was completely different from all the powers she had seen before. She asked the guard captain to increase the number of guards around the castle, and plant a spy to continuously monitor Jaeon, as she wanted to know everything happening around him at all times. Later, the head servant went to Jaeon, telling him with a smile that Evelyn loved him so much that she was sending him a gift like this to care for and protect him. John was amazed when he saw the gift from his sister. This is a ghoul's heart. Anyone who absorbs it will gain the power of a 1,000-year-old ghoul. Jaeon realized he could greatly increase his strength through this heart, and felt happy that he hadn't entered into conflict with his sister Evelyn, and that her admiration for him had reached the point where she supported him with such a precious gift. Then he remembered Evelyn's celestial sea star and said it was very powerful and closely resembled the black star he possessed. He wondered if his family had also inherited the black star, while thinking that no one else could use this ability, even if they were from his family. He noted that this world didn't follow logic, and that he should maintain his relationship with Evelyn as she might be useful in the future. At that moment, the servant arrived to tell Jaeon that Priscilla had come requesting to meet him, so he allowed her to enter. Priscilla entered angrily and asked why he had summoned her after humiliating her in front of everyone and treating her as if she were his servant. Jane answered that she had lived in his palace for a while, and it was time for her to pay for her stay there. She wouldn't live with him for free. Priscilla was astonished and asked what he meant, confirming that he was a prince and didn't need money from her. He told her he needed something more important than money from her, gave her a manuscript, and asked her to estimate how long it would take to activate it. Priscilla took the manuscript and examined it. Before she could understand its contents, she was shocked. This is an extremely powerful magic circle. Who drew it? He told her he had drawn it himself. She didn't believe him, because the circle was drawn with magical symbols and letters she didn't recognize, and such spells were only drawn by the strongest magic masters in the world. John answered that he didn't want her opinion on the matter. He had asked about the activation time. She said if she started feeding it with her magic now, it would be ready tomorrow. Then she added in amazement that she hadn't known Jaeon was talented in magic to this degree, and from her analysis, the circle was a detection spell aimed at forcing something to appear. She promised to start implementing the circle, but wanted to know his purpose for it, describing the magic as strange. John told her he intended to use it for hunting, and that he had people he needed to get rid of. The next day, Jaeon gathered all the servants and guards in an emergency meeting in the palace training yard. The maid Lenny asked the head servant Sean about the reason for the meeting. He answered that he didn't know, and that Prince Jaeon had changed to the point where he now feared him, preferring to carry out his orders without question for fear of death. The maid confirmed she also felt afraid of him, as it had been a long time since she last felt this way. and that news about Jaeon was spreading throughout the entire kingdom because of his actions. Jaeon addressed everyone and asked them not to move from their places, requesting Priscilla to begin activating the magic circle immediately. Priscilla agreed and began pouring her magical energy into it. The magic started spreading and affecting all present servants and guards. Lenny noticed a strange change in her body due to the magical light and didn't understand exactly what they were doing, but she realized they were in danger. She tried to ask the head servant Sean, who seemed tense and unable to answer due to the magic filling the place. In the next moment, Priscilla cut her finger and dropped her blood into the heart of the circle. The second part began activating, and Sean was shocked and screamed, demanding they stop what was happening. But he lost control of his body and began transforming completely into a terrifying monster. Jaeon watched the situation. This circle is called the Enemy Detection Circle, and it emits powerful detection magic that reveals any disguise within its range. Priscilla was surprised and asked about the identity of the monster that appeared. He simply answered that this was their enemy in its true form. Then he explained that the enemies of humans in the kingdom in the story were monsters who served the Demon King and helped him return, and he had learned that these monsters had infiltrated the kingdom disguised as humans to serve their interests. At that moment, the monster attacked Priscilla, trying to eliminate her. She called out, asking why it was attacking her and not John, who had exposed it. The guards intervened to protect her and announced they would fight the monster. Jaeon said it was natural for the monster to attack Priscilla, known as the Unlucky Princess, since her family's blood was described as evil blood, and monsters greatly preferred it. He pointed out that according to the story's events, the monsters would capture Priscilla in the future and take her as a blood source in their kingdom, keeping her tortured between life and death for her entire life, which is why she was known as the Unlucky Princess. The guards tried to confront the monster, but to no avail. Even the weakest types of monsters easily surpass 6 ordinary men in strength, and facing them is nearly impossible for any human without special abilities. Jaeon kept watching and telling himself he would have to intervene personally, as he didn't want trouble or chaos in his palace right now. Jaeon moved to the confrontation area, facing the monster himself. Priscilla was shocked and asked why he was risking his life. He was a prince and wasn't supposed to endanger himself. At this moment, the monster attacked John with full force, laughing and threatening to eliminate him. John didn't hesitate. He gathered his black energy, grabbed the monster, and examined it carefully, saying he had never dealt with monsters like this before. It had 2 hearts. While the monster tried to hit him and push him away, Jaeon attacked again, provoking it with mockery, asking if it was afraid. The monster screamed, "Shut up. What kind of magic is this? How did you force me to appear? This is a strange power I've never seen in my entire life, even among monsters." Then, "Who are you really?" Flay. It swore it knew Prince Jaeon well, and that this young man was definitely not him. "My identity isn't important. What matters is that you're my enemy, and you're going to die now." The monster screamed that it hated deceivers, swearing that if it defeated him, it would take him to its kingdom for interrogation, then threatened that he would regret this insult. Jaeon replied mockingly that it was just a trivial monster to him. He gathered the Black Star energy and used shadow magic to easily block the monster's attacks, which amazed the creature. Then Jaeon expressed his sarcasm, saying it wasn't strong, and he had warned them from the beginning. Then he launched the Shadow Spear, which dealt fatal injuries to the monster and eliminated it completely. Jaeon was thinking that if his ability hadn't developed to 1 star, he wouldn't have succeeded in the confrontation. He needed to restore his full powers and continue strengthening his body. He also thought that ordinary human bodies might not be able to handle the Black Star at full energy. He noticed he had destroyed both hearts and the monster's magical center, so it could no longer send information to its companions before dying. At that moment, a large number of panicked knights entered the palace courtyard. A knight named Alex stepped forward and introduced himself as being from the White Lion Squad, saying he had come to protect Jaeon. He asked what had happened, and Jaeon learned from them that these were the guards Evelyn wanted to plant in the palace. Jaeon told them nothing had happened worth their concern, and that he himself had eliminated the enemy that appeared without calling anyone and hadn't needed help. Then he pointed out that they shouldn't storm his palace again without his permission. In another scene, we encounter one of Jaeon's brothers, one of the major princes. His assistant arrived and told him there was a problem at Jaeon's palace. The prince was surprised and asked for details because the assassins he had sent there failed despite Jaeon's weakness. His assistant replied that there was news about another incident unrelated to the assassins, and spies close to the palace spotted massive dark magic appearing inside it. They tried their best to understand what happened, but all their spies in the palace were eliminated, and even the servants became afraid to speak any information. The prince said it didn't matter much, but he ordered sending more spies to watch the palace because something strange was happening, and emphasized that he should monitor everything. Before the assistant left, He told him about a circulating rumor. Jian had changed a lot in a week and became violent, and anyone who wronged him was killed immediately. He also developed enormous unknown powers that nobody knew the secret of. The prince commented dismissively that John had been a failure since birth and was a disgrace to the family, comparing him to an angry worm that wouldn't be able to hurt anyone in the end. The assistant told the prince there was a rumor that Jaeon decided to participate in the throne struggle, considering it unexpected. The prince replied confidently that there was no need to worry, describing his brother as stupid and saying he no longer needed to try assassinating him because Jaeon would perish on his own through the succession ceremonies. He asked his assistant to confirm if they had influence over this year's ceremony tests. The assistant confirmed they could indeed interfere, so the prince asked what he needed. He replied, laughing, that he wanted to make John's coronation ceremony a fun party, and they would make sure John never came out of it alive. At this time, John was walking around the city, contemplating, telling himself that only 1 week remained before the coronation ceremony began, and he had to solve some problems before that. He searched the city for a specific place the novel described, until he reached an old building. He identified, this is the headquarters of the secret Moonlight organization, but it's just a front. The truth is this is a branch of the famous Moon Eye intelligence organization. He noted that the whole city knew this place, and entry was allowed for certain people, but that was just a cover. John entered the disguised restaurant and soon the waiter came to ask for his order. He answered with the password, Moonlight Soup. The waiter was surprised, then asked Jian to follow him downstairs, where the secret entrance to the building was. There, the waiter brought him to the branch manager's office. She was surprised that he was the first actual client to request service from this place, telling him it was a rare case. John confirmed if she was really the manager and told her he wanted to request information, but the manager insisted he identify himself first. She said the branch itself had opened recently and nobody knew anything about it except a few people, and it wasn't even in the information of other branches. Therefore, she insisted he tell her how he reached them. John dodged the answer, saying they usually didn't need the client's identity. So if she wasn't in dire need of his money, there was no need for the deal. When he tried to leave, the manager ordered the guards to stop him. They attacked him, but he surprised them and completely froze their bodies using dark power. They stood shocked, wondering why their bodies stopped. So Jaeon told them mockingly that they were skilled but rude, and this way he probably wouldn't deal with idiots like them. He used his power and easily took down everyone, threatening to destroy the entire branch but pardoned them, settling for punishing them for raising weapons against him. John easily eliminated all the assassins who attacked him, then approached the manager and said, "Are you still worried about my identity? I think I've proven it sufficiently. All you need to know is that I'm powerful, and you're obligated to fulfill my request without additional questions." He concluded by asking if she objected. She replied fearfully that she wasn't, and they would do everything he wanted and provide it free as an apology for what happened. Jaeon told them his requests and left, informing the manager she would contact him when the information was ready. The manager, Irene, remained stunned by what happened. She said his quick defeat of the organization's best assassins was unbelievable, and found his request simple. He wanted information about the Black Forest and requested a forged identity. The waiter came and discussed with her the danger this mysterious royal client represented, again suggesting caution in dealing with him. Irene agreed and ordered their best spies to be put on watching him, as they were now involved with someone from the imperial royal family. Agnes, she had examined his distinctive gray hair during the fight. She commented that they couldn't afford to be enemies with a man of such power, but needed to know his intentions, especially why he left the royal palace in disguise. She also recommended gathering all the information he wanted about the Black Forest, and emphasized the need for maximum caution, because just becoming his opponent would mean their end would be near and swift. The waiter agreed to Irene's orders and said he would immediately start gathering all necessary information and send spies to monitor Jaeon and uncover his identity. Irene sat thinking about Jaeon and tried analyzing his power, unique personality, and overwhelming presence. She began strongly suspecting he was one of the imperial family's sons and maybe even one of the throne candidates, but she wanted to confirm for herself. We then moved to Priscilla, who was angrily wandering the palace, feeling John's continued neglect since her arrival. She blamed him for only using her to activate the dark magic circle and expose the disguised monster, then completely ignoring her, without explaining any details, despite her effective help. She guessed the main royal palace might indeed have information about what happened, but didn't want to risk contacting them. She went directly to Jaeon's room to demand a meeting and get explanations. The guards at Jaeon's room confronted her and prevented her from entering. She protested that she had the right as his fiancé, but Alfredo told her that his master, Jaeon, forbade anyone from entering. and he was currently busy communicating with major families about the incident, which was a lie, and completely forbade leaking information about the monster outside the palace. Priscilla insisted, considering herself not a stranger or just a guest, but his fiancé. But Alfredo confronted her with the question of whether she really was, so she got confused and remembered she herself had requested breaking the engagement. Then Alfredo delivered John's message. He no longer needed her in the palace, and if she didn't want anything, she should return home. Priscilla was shocked by his attitude and became extremely angry. In the same context, Jaeon had left the capital and was now traveling by magic train heading to another magic palace. He was amazed that there were actually magic trains, and asked himself whether his kingdom would really develop like this after 100 years, as the novel said, vowing to himself not to let his descendants surpass his achievements in technical development. He activated his detection ability and discovered that Moonlight Organization spies were indeed following him. He expected this and deliberately left his gray hair visible to scare them into taking him seriously and executing his requests quickly, as his goal from the beginning was to control them and benefit from the organization. He recalled details from the novel. The Moonlight Organization would later transform into a secret guild supporting the hero against the monster army, and would sacrifice hugely for the hero after everyone abandoned him, even his family and kingdom, without compensation. This is why he came to them himself to personally verify the event's accuracy and have influence on their course. The train employee announced to everyone they were approaching Rowan City, so Jaeon prepared to get off. When he stepped off the train, he thought about his need for a new assistant, finding that the Royal Knights didn't have sufficient talents and training them would take a long time. He decided to use his future knowledge and the novel to choose a worthy assistant, as he knew that person would be here in Rowan City. Jaeon entered the city and watched it carefully with extreme alertness. He was certain he was in exactly the right place and time. He knew from the novel that every month there was a harsh religious purification event for the city's residents, and this particular month the city would be destroyed after the purification incident, and the destruction would originate from the Black Forest, which alone held the secrets of the residents' true identities. He wanted to enter the Black Forest, and this was only possible with permission from Baron Rowan, who had influence in the place, which was extremely difficult. John went to the security station, and there used shadow energy to summon the spy watching him, threatening her to come out immediately or be killed. The female spy appeared, collapsed from fear and surprised by his complete exposure of her. Joan told her he didn't want to interfere with the Moonlight Organization's original mission, but he had a special and urgent mission for her now. The girl looked at Jaeon with amazement and astonishment, with signs of real shock drawn on her face. She asked him in a choked voice, having noticed his absolute insistence, "How did you know I belonged to the organization? I left no trace behind me and no one saw me at all." But Jaeon remained stone-faced, looked at her with a cold gaze that carried no hesitation or softness, and interrupted her with a commanding and firm tone. "Shut up now. I only care that you focus on my request. What I'm asking of you is much more important than your loyalty to that little organization of yours. Gather every possible piece of information about the mercenary recruitment competition that will take place at Baron Rowan's palace. I also want to know everything about those people in the city who bear a lion's head tattoo containing 6 stars. All the details, names, locations, and even their old secrets." The girl's eyes widened more, and she got confused as she replied, stammering in a tone full of worry, "Sir, I don't understand exactly what you're talking about. Information this precise about the tattoo. Why those people specifically? I have no idea about the meaning of what you're asking me." But Jaeon didn't care about her justifications or attempt to understand, and interrupted her again as he turned his back to leave. "Just carry out the order as I requested from you." Meanwhile, the events shifted to Baron Rowan's palace, where Ryan entered to see her father with determination and strong resolve in her eyes. "This is our only chance for survival. This is my chance to free this people from the grip of those bastards who call themselves the Purifiers. They're the cause of the city's corruption and our people's pain. I must act." The Baron, his worry increasing, asked her, "But how will you get rid of them when they possess the power that has maintained the city's balance for years? Your ancestors who had the ability to use the seal's power failed at more than just containing the demon's evil." Ryan interrupted her father, showing extreme anger. "Enough talk about ancestors. All you do is sing the praises of past heroics and forget your people's suffering today. If our history really matters to you, why do you let the Purifiers control us like this? How many times have they made us suffer?" Then she left him, extremely angry, and spoke to herself. Always the same talk about the ancestors who saved the kingdom from evil, but he forgets that the purifiers doubled the people's suffering compared to what they saved them from. How long will we live under their mercy? Ryan headed to the training field, and her teammates' gazes followed her in silence, having noticed her tension. One of her teammates approached, looking curious, and asked in a low voice, "Ryan, why are you so agitated today?" Her other teammate, Ragno, immediately intervened mockingly. Obviously, she fought with the stupid old man again. When will she give up her stubbornness and listen to some wisdom? Actually, I don't listen to anything that comes from him. Lian, one of the friends, intervened, trying to calm the situation. Ragno, speak respectfully, you're talking about Baron Rowan, owner of the land we stand on. Whatever your differences, you should respect him. Ragno replied stubbornly, he still puts his family's interests above everyone else's good. That's the real reason for our problems. Lion tried to control the discussion. Stop arguing, this won't help us with anything. Ryan tried to change the subject and asked them about the mercenary recruitment situation. Have you found someone strong who deserves to join our ranks? Ragno answered mockingly, you can watch the applicants yourself. Most of them are just pathetic bastards. Their presence in any battle is completely worthless. Lian confirmed what Ragno said. He's right, we're wasting our time with these weak numbers. No one among them has caught attention so far. Ryan felt disappointed and didn't think everyone would be at this level, but she turned to Hart and asked for his opinion, so he answered confidently. Actually, there's only one person I think isn't like the other mercenaries. Since he entered the arena, I felt he was special. I suggest you watch the arena, he's there now. So all eyes turned to the arena, where the mysterious mercenary Epi Jaeon was disguised, so no one would recognize him because of his hair color. All the mercenaries gathered inside the arena, while everyone was watching Ryan and her group in amazement, and some were whispering to others, this group is dangerous. They're some of the strongest hunters in the northern region. What brought them here? As for Jaeon himself, he was watching the place with his sharp gaze, and spoke to himself, the purification ceremony is about to begin. If I don't move quickly, the city might end up destroyed, just like in the original novel. But he finally noticed Ryan's presence and said with hidden joy, I finally found her. This legendary girl who will one day be one of the hero's most important helpers. She's the owner of the rare talent that appears only once every 1,000 years. In the future, she'll be known as the strongest spear user ever and owner of the heavenly spear. But she hasn't matured yet. The Great War hasn't begun. I must take advantage of her appearance during this period for my benefit and make her join under my banner. The referee suddenly announced on the field, you. Get ready, your match will start right now. Jaeon got up and prepared with calm steps and entered the arena amid looks of surprise and whispering among the audience. At this moment Jaeon's opponent appeared, called Ryo, a terrifyingly famous criminal. His name, known to all the city's residents and neighboring cities, but no security forces dared arrest him because of his tyranny and savage strength. Ryo stood defiantly and looked at Jaeon and said sarcastically, you're weird. Listen carefully, in this trial combat we're allowed to kill each other, so you'll remain the first victim today, and I'll make sure you have an unhappy ending. But Jaeon didn't bother to respond to the challenge and said indifferently, won't you stop chattering and finally start fighting? This duel is very boring. Ryo got angry and said sharply, you should have withdrawn before it was too late, but you'll pay the price for your stubbornness, you'll regret it. And he launched a violent attack using his spear, shouting, I'll make you an example for anyone who thinks of opposing me. But Jaeon watched the situation with inner calm, and said to himself, any physical attack in this world always carries strong points and weak points. If I use the strong points I can stop him simply, and by understanding his weak points, I'll avoid damage. Unfortunately, Ryo's power is too weak for me to even need to use my special ability, Black Star, against him. Then, Jaeon began dodging Ryo's attacks with unexpected lightness, avoiding all strikes with amazing ease. Jaeon dodged Yeon's attacks with stunning speed and incredible agility, then muttered to himself in a tone mixing boredom and confidence, very weak. Attacks like these aren't even suitable for training. Impossible to hit me or bring me down. As he launched a lightning-fast counterattack, focusing great power in one strong and precise strike, which knocked Yeon down and threw him far from the fighting arena, to crash to the ground with force that raised dust around him amid everyone's shock. Jaeon then stood over the arena with calm confidence, saying to himself in an audible voice that was almost mocking, really, this is a waste of time. One of them shouted in amazement, impossible. He defeated him with just one strike. We've never seen power like this. Everyone was shocked by Jaeon's strength. They thought he was just a strange unknown beginner, but he proved in one moment that he possessed skill and power beyond their imagination. Even Ryan and her group kept exchanging glances, while in complete amazement. In the viewing corner, Hart was watching Jaeon with great interest. So he turned to Ryan and asked her with his eyes shining with real admiration, what do you think of this man? I haven't seen anyone with this style. He's really impressive, and the strangest thing is he maintains the least effort in executing the finishing move. This is the sign of a real fighter. He completed his analysis. Despite that, I think his body is weak. It's clear he doesn't suit the power hidden inside him. Maybe that's why he chooses precision and speed instead of relying on direct confrontation all the time. Ryan nodded in agreement and answered him. Right, his strength is apparent, but I think he's hiding much more than he shows. There's something mysterious about this man. On the other hand, Ragno was angry and not impressed at all. He frowned and said sarcastically, I don't understand why all this admiration for that bastard. In my opinion, he's so weak that if I hit him by accident, he wouldn't come out of here alive. I don't see anything special about him, just a fragile body that might suit wizards or those who use magic from afar only. But he's not a match for real fighters, and isn't suitable for close battles. And since he can't even use his physical strong points properly, it's impossible for him to be useful to us. Ryan sighed and said tensely, maybe you have some point. Yes, his physical strength is weak, and this is something I wasn't expecting after all the preparations and searching for mercenaries. I spent all this time dreaming of attracting great talent to our side. And in the end, even the mercenaries here don't offer anything worth mentioning. She confided to herself sadly. The purification operation is about to begin, and it seems we must rely on ourselves to survive without anyone's help. But before she could finish her words, Ryan and everyone present were shocked by the sudden appearance of a strange person on the arena, appearing as if shadows had swallowed him for moments while he laughed with sarcasm and pride. His eyes were gleaming with an evil look, and a strange tattoo clearly appeared on his foot, a six-starred lion's head. Ryan gasped and stepped back, shouting in shock. Impossible. This is the symbol of the secret Purification Organization members. As everyone knows that the Purification Organization is nothing but a cover for a secret network serving the demons and monsters sealed in the depths of the Black Forest. They're the ones who spread plagues and bring monsters and try to break the seals of ancient evil. No human or country has been safe from them. They're struck by endless curses wherever they go. The strange person spoke loudly while laughing. You fools, you won't be able to stop us. The mercenaries immediately pounced on him, their voices rising. Who is this scoundrel? Who let him in? Let's finish him off right now. At that moment, the person began transforming, abandoning his human form, and released evil energy that terrified all the leaders and fighters in the place. Ryan, having regained her composure amid the panic, stepped forward and shouted, "There's no place for evil here." She charged toward the enemy with all her strength, using her speed and weapon, and launched a devastating attack that completely destroyed him before everyone's eyes in an amazing moment. The rest of Ryan's group rushed to her, worried about her. They asked her quickly, "Are you okay? Did you get hurt?" She shook her head and said tiredly, "I got rid of him, but no one knows if he has companions hiding. Check the place quickly, be careful, there might be more. There might be more." She had barely finished her sentence when another shadow appeared, a monster disguised among the rubble. It laughed mockingly, its eyes glowing with evil. It addressed Ryan saying, "You're right. Haven't you figured it out yet? This was all a trap. We wanted to gather you all here so we could finish all the defending forces in one simple strike, with explosion magic." Hearts sank and Ryan immediately screamed, "Everyone, get ready now. This was a trap to destroy us all. He's going to blow up the arena now." But the villain immediately began activating explosion magic, his body glowing with catastrophic energies, and suddenly, the place exploded with a terrible sound that nearly deafened ears. Chaos reigned for moments, but when the smoke cleared, everyone was surprised that the explosion hadn't harmed them at all, and the villain had already been eliminated. Amazement spread among them, and soon some whispered, "What happened? What power neutralized it like that?" Ragno and Leon approached Ryan and said, "We always knew you were strong, but we never imagined you could neutralize an explosion like that. What level of power have you reached?" Hart in turn said supportively, "That's right, even facing the Purification Organization, I think you won't need us after today." Razum smiled and denied it, saying, "You're all wrong. I wasn't the one who stopped the monster's attack or the evil energy. Didn't you notice? Just before the explosion, the strange mercenary Jaeon. He disappeared for moments, and suddenly appeared behind the monster. And then, amid the destruction, he released strange, magical energy, as if everything had stopped for moments. Jaeon succeeded at the crucial moment in stopping the massive explosion, and was able to use his unique power to protect everyone in the training field from destruction. The moment froze amid everyone's amazement, and with the explosion's effect gone, the field looked as if nothing had happened at all, while everyone remained staring in shock and questioning the source of that legendary power. Thanks to my knowledge of the novel, I can predict most events and avoid disasters even before they happen. If I didn't have awareness of the fate that awaited everyone in this place, a great disaster would have occurred now, and most of those in the arena would have been killed by the explosion. My defeat of the other mercenaries wasn't enough to attract Ryan's attention, but after preventing this attack and saving them all, I think I'm finally under her radar. Events passed quickly, and a day after that incident, Ryan gathered all the people who passed the elimination test from the mercenaries, and stood before them with a serious look saying, "From today on, you'll be one team with me. We'll face a dangerous raid and need solidarity. Our next goal is to subdue the Black Forest and eliminate the demoness threatening our city. So I want you to get to know each other now. You're my colleagues from this moment." Jaeon kept watching with interest. Everyone chosen for Ryan's group, realizing that all her main team members were already present, and with them also the girl Kyla and her companion, Namni, who had come to the test secretly and were famous northern mercenaries as well. His attention was also drawn to another girl named Sari, as she was the only one who stood out with clear strength and was officially chosen from the mercenary gathering. He looked at her and examined her carefully, noting that she was hiding real power behind her calm features. Ryan asked everyone to focus with her, then began explaining the main plan briefly and quickly. There's a huge forest separating our city from the western side of the Salus mountain range. Everything in that forest is dark and black. The soil, trees, and even the air. That's why it's called the Black Forest. Since ancient times, anyone who enters the forest doesn't return from it, so passage through it was completely banned. No one escapes if they cross the magic boundaries. Sari interrupted her curiously. "I've heard a lot about the Black Forest, and I know some stories about it, but what I want is the truth. Why now specifically do you want to execute a raid on it? What makes this time so dangerous?" Ryan answered with a sad look. "Long ago, it was said that my great-grandfather, the city's founder, faced the greatest evil when he came here. It was said he covered his body with dragon blood, so he gained their power and was able to defeat evil and destroy the source of corruption, then founded the city of Rowan. But the truth isn't as they tell it. The reality is that my great-grandfather couldn't defeat that evil, but used dragon blood and sealed the demoness inside the heart of the Black Forest. Since then, our city has been suffering because it pays the price for keeping this demoness sealed," she added, directing her gaze to the whole team. "Everything we do from purification ceremonies and sacrifice festivals is just a way to appease the demoness and prevent her from breaking free and breaking the seal." Here, Jeon intervened and said with interest, "So you're talking about the purification festival. It's the annual ritual where they offer sacrifice to the demoness to ensure she never breaks free." Ryan confirmed. "Exactly. After each purification festival, the purification arc process takes place, bringing criminals who are arrested in the city and throwing them to the demoness in the Black Forest as periodic sacrifice." "I understand now. If you mention the purification arc, do you mean that all convicted criminals in the city are actually sacrificed this way?" Ryan answered him with a hint of pain. "Yes, not just prominent convicts. Sometimes they even choose those wrongly accused or those not proven guilty. For the demoness's sake and for tradition's sake, they sacrifice any number they reach. They used to tell children not to go near the square, and I remember when I was little, how I watched some innocents being driven by force to the ark and sacrificed without mercy, just to keep the demoness's seal in place and make everyone feel false security." Ragno laughed sarcastically and said, "Now I understand your purpose from all this. At least now our participation in the raid has meaning, and we can feel that our goal is truly humanitarian and noble." Then Ryan added, "The demoness inside the forest, her powers weaken because the magic barrier has lasted thousands of years. But precisely because of that, very few strong ones can enter the forest, and from here, our only hope of ending this nightmare is your success as a team." Here Kyla intervened and said to Ryan decisively, "I'm convinced by your words and ready to fight, but there's one question that troubles me. Why did you choose this man, Jaeon, with us? At first glance, he seems as far from useful as possible. Suspicious and weak compared to mercenaries." And Ragno agreed with her and laughed. "I agree with Kyla too. I was surprised that you included him with us in the raid when he's honestly far from strength or distinction. No matter how much he tries to prove himself, I don't see anything in him that would help us in the mission." Here, Jaeon smiled mockingly and said to himself, "Northern mercenaries are arrogant as usual, confident in their strength to the point of blindness, yet I know through my knowledge of the future that they'll be strong allies for me if I try to guide them well. My presence among them today will change a lot tomorrow." Although the number of northern mercenaries participating in this mission was only 5 out of the original 7, Ryan stepped forward with confident and steady steps, her eyes contemplating the faces gathered around her, and her tone inspiring confidence. "I know well that Jaeon hasn't shown his strength or clarified his capabilities in front of you so far, but my intuition doesn't fail. I have great certainty that he'll be an influential element in this raid." Ryan's words had a strange effect on the group, especially Ragno, whose features changed from surprise to disapproval. His eyebrows raised, and he seemed like he couldn't believe what he was hearing. As for Jaeon, inside, he was thinking, it's clear that Ryan is still hesitant like the rest of the members. She actually saw a glimpse of my power, but she's not convinced enough. More importantly, she hasn't revealed anything about my power to them so far, so she definitely hasn't fully trusted the northern guys yet. And I also think she realizes that what happened with the attempt to breach the palace training field wasn't coincidence at all, and that there's a traitor in the group who helped the organization's group from the inside. Actually, I know who that person is, but I won't expose him right now. It's important that I let Ryan learn, and rely on her own cleverness and intelligence to discover him herself. This will benefit her and make her stronger later. Ryan cut through his train of thought and called out firmly to everyone present. Come on, everyone. Calm down a bit and focus on our main goal. We're going to talk seriously now about the Dark Forest. Let's study together how we'll enter it, which route might be safer, and review the plan step by step. John preferred isolation and went to train alone with his dark magic. That heavy black aura spread around him as if it would swallow the place. Tree leaves trembled under the effect of his magical waves. Even the soil seemed like it wanted to flee from him. After feeling that the entire area had become saturated with his power, he suddenly pulled everything back and the magic disappeared in one moment as if it had never been there. He whispered to himself in a voice barely audible, "Just one star. That's what's restraining my power and keeping me always weak, unable to unleash what I actually have. The technique I'm thinking about is very powerful, but the price is that my body will almost collapse if I use it against one of the 7 brothers' mercenaries. And the real problem is they're no longer my most dangerous enemies in the story. There are stronger and fiercer opponents coming after them, so I need to quickly reach the 2nd star." Suddenly, while lost in his thoughts, a strange girl appeared before him. "What's this? Your energy is very strange. I haven't seen anyone in years who could move shadow magic with this mastery. How do you control it and release it by yourself? I really want to know all the secrets of your power." Jaeon was surprised by her sudden presence and looked at her cautiously. "It's clear you're not an ordinary person. Important question, how did you get out of the seal? I was sure the seal hadn't been broken yet. You really discovered my identity this quickly. You're a special person, just as I expected. But listen to my advice, if you really want to stay alive, don't enter the Dark Forest with Ryan and her team." Jaeon asked with genuine surprise as curiosity began to stir in him. "And why? I'm surprised that you're suddenly here. Why specifically are you warning me?" She laughed and said in a calm tone but full of threat, "The answer is simpler than simple. I won't repeat this again. If you enter the forest and ignore the advice, I'll eliminate all of you myself." She quickly disappeared as she had appeared without any trace, and Jaeon remained smiling, calmly, the laugh never leaving his face. "The demoness herself came out to threaten me. I couldn't waste an opportunity like this. It's clear that my actions are making the story's events change more than I thought, but it doesn't matter. I never liked this story anyway, and I decided to change all the events my way." After minutes and while wandering around, Jaeon sent night signals to the moon I spy, so she appeared hiding above the tree. She jumped in front of him, panting with surprise. "Really? How do you know my location every time? You're really scary." Jaeon asked her, "Did you prepare what I asked for?" She replied, while digging in her pocket and pulling it out for him. "The rare thing you want. A storage stone of the highest level, exactly as you described. I brought it to you with great difficulty. And because of that, you'll pay more." Seriously, the mission was almost impossible. "But, what are you planning to use the storage stone for anyway?" He took the stone from her, and looked at it with a meaningful smile, and said, "Surrender." She looked at him with confusion filling her face. "Surrender? What are you talking about? Even when you exhaust me, you don't explain a single word." Jaeon left her without giving any more details, and simply said to her calmly and briefly, "You'll understand soon." The spy hesitated, trying to explain his behavior to herself. "Every time, he treats me like I'm a servant, doesn't even talk or tell me how he'll act. I'll just say, I have to report to the manager." After that, Jaeon headed to join the rest of the group, and they all set off walking carefully as they prepared to enter the Dark Forest. His heart was jumping with anticipation and excitement, and he smiled to himself. The real time for adventure has begun. Everyone entered together into the forest's depths, and with every step they took, the darkness grew thicker. The trees became blacker until the trunks and leaves seemed to absorb the sunlight completely. Even the air became heavy, laden with the smell of ancient dust and frightening magic. Hart kept looking around suspiciously, and tension began increasing in his voice as he said in wonder, "What is this place we're in? The whole forest looks cursed. This is impossible. The kingdom itself should have come and sent the strongest knights and sorcerers to save us from what's happening here, not us. The situation seems bigger than anyone's capabilities. Everyone's eyes began turning and watching the shadows moving among them, and the journey of the dark forest began with all its danger and dark mystery. As the group penetrated deeper into the dark forest, Jaeon was watching everyone from behind with a sharp eye, and many questions were spinning in his head. It's strange that Ryan never clarified details about the demoness's danger in the forest or even anything about her power, but I noticed that the trust between her and the team is almost blind. Pretty sure someone like Kira is the most suspicious person of me here. Her eye is on me all the time as if she's expecting me to attack her, and she has no intention of believing or trusting Ryan about me. Ryan reached the middle of the forest at those moments, felt that the atmosphere had become heavier, and that the dark demonic energy had become suffocating. She quickly turned to the team and announced, "Get ready well. The demonic energy here is very strong. I think we're close to reaching the demoness herself." Here, Lien questioned the plan, feeling afraid. Are we really going to enter directly like this, without any prior plan or preparation for battle? Ryan replied with rare confidence. Exactly. There's no traditional plan that can work here. She drew her famous spear, lightning spear, and waved it, adding, "But so we can maintain our dignity as knights and nobles, we must warn the forest inhabitants before we enter upon them." In one moment, Ryan struck the lightning spear forcefully forward, and its destruction consumed the entire area. Everything in front of her turned to ash, trees exploded, and all the air turned into bright lightning flashes. There, now when we see the monsters and demons in the forest, our presence won't surprise them and the battle's direction is completely clear. Ryan then shouted, "Come on, move quickly. Our goal is to eliminate every trace of dark power here." Then she ran quickly to the depths, urging the rest of her group to follow her. Ragnar was watching her advance and smiled with satisfaction mixed with caution, then said to Lien, "See, as usual, the first one to rush. Do you have a plan we can use if everything gets out of control?" Lien shook his head negatively. "Unfortunately, no." Ragnar didn't wait any longer but rushed after Ryan quickly, saying with feigned surprise, "So simply, if things go crazy, there's no one here to control matters. Then it's better we avoid problems and focus more." Ryan, at that moment, was moving quickly between the dark trees, but she suddenly stopped at the sound of rustling and several red eyes in the darkness. Suddenly, massive savage wolves appeared before her. Their number exceeded 10, and they began quietly surrounding her team in a terrifying manner. Ryan stood and said seriously, "These are savage wolves. I've heard a lot about their strength, and they're really the reason for all the attacks we've experienced recently on the city." She hadn't finished her sentence when all the wolves jumped toward her with terrifying speed. Ryan showed some confusion for a moment and said, "I think I rushed more than necessary. Their number and speed are greater than even my ability to escape." But Ragnar didn't leave her in trouble. He used his special ability and activated his explosive hand, moved in the blink of an eye in front of Ryan, struck the wolves with one blow that shook the entire ground, and eliminated most of them immediately. Then he turned to Ryan, smiling, and said, "Didn't I tell you not to be reckless? I'm always known to be in the front, and I'll keep protecting everyone, no matter what happens." Hart didn't delay, used his assassination and quick transport skills, jumped between the wolves and strangled them one after another with precise quick movements. Then addressed Ryan while fighting, "You focus ahead, and I'll handle covering your back and getting rid of any beast that chases us. Let's finish them quickly and regain strength." With each round, whenever they finished a number of wolves, a larger and fiercer number appeared, until the team began feeling exhausted. Kira was watching the situation closely and said loudly, "Their number is unnatural, as if they're endless. We need to change our approach." Kayla raised her hand and announced, "Listen to me, I have a plan, but everyone back away from me right now." And Kayla began summoning her energy with intense focus. A blue flame aura appeared around her, then she unleashed her destructive wave toward the wolves. Everything touched by the blue flame burned completely until it disappeared. The ground itself became like embers, and the main wolves' attack was over. Namni approached Kayla and said quickly, "Watch out, get back, I'll cover you now." It wasn't long before new monsters appeared and started coming by the hundreds. Jaeon kept watching everyone from behind and said to himself, "Amazing. There's great teamwork between the team members. It's clear they've trained together since childhood and know each other's moves by heart. Even their movements are coordinated like they're one mind." John continued his thoughts. "This is the perfect time to move to the next step of my plan. There are increasing numbers of monsters in all directions, and they're starting to surround the entire place." Suddenly, a massive monster bat appeared above Jaeon's head and swooped down on him with lightning speed. Jaeon smiled and said, "Perfect. Here comes the right bastard to test something I've been preparing." At that moment, Siri screamed in warning, "John, get away right now, its attack is deadly." Jaeon moved gracefully, easily dodging the bat's attack. then turned to Siri and said confidently and calmly, "Just watch. I don't need anyone worrying about me." He unleashed his shadow magic. Dark energies wrapped around his arm, and in one moment he brought down the huge bat and completely destroyed it. Kayla and the rest of the team stared at Jaeon in complete amazement. Their view of him changed, and they began watching him with great interest and suspicion. Jaeon stood in the middle of the forest, watching the massive monster bat's body turn into black shadows that faded with the wind, then muttered to himself in a low voice, as if explaining to himself or sending a hidden message. "I cut the magical link between this monster and the demoness, and this is the fastest way to get rid of them without a long fight. Who exactly are you? What kind of power are you using? I've never seen shadow magic like this. What's your truth, Jaeon?" The tension escalated more, and Kayla raised her voice angrily. "Are you going to answer my question or not? If you keep this up, I'll consider you an enemy and attack you myself." But the critical moment was interrupted by the earth itself. The forest shook with tremendous force and a massive monster bear appeared between the trees, raging as if the earth was releasing all its anger in the form of one monster. Its roar shook the night air and the remaining sunlight suddenly disappeared. Ryan immediately shouted, "Everyone, stop the petty fighting. Get ready quickly and get back into battle formation. This monster is much bigger and stronger than what we've faced." Jaeon between satisfaction and mockery, as if he had been waiting for this particular monster to rise. Finally, it started. This was the moment I've been waiting for. With terrifying slowness, the trees themselves around the group began closing in on them. John raised his hand and called out, "Everyone watch out for yourselves." Ragno, despite his intense tension, shouted to the group, "Nobody lose focus. Keep formation and follow instructions like we agreed. This bear is dangerous, but we can handle the confrontation." The monster bear suddenly jumped with tremendous force toward Ryan and Ragno, but with amazing agility, they managed to get away at the last moment, and one of the trees was destroyed from the impact. Hart was trying to join the rest of the group, but the trees suddenly closed in on him and isolated him from everyone. He found himself trapped with Jaeon in a dark circle that closed around them, and the ground itself seemed to be changing shape, and began moving them away from the main battle location. Hart tried to move quickly and whispered, "This isn't natural. The trees are breathing around us and moving us. Why am I the only one who got separated and ended up with you here?" Jaeon laughed and said calmly without any confusion, "The answer is simple. I brought you here on purpose, because I'm not going to give you a chance to kill Ryan like you're planning." Hart's eyes widened in surprise, and he began breathing rapidly, then laughed nervously. "What are you talking about? Are you hallucinating or threatening me?" Jaeon answered confidently, "Enough lying, Hart. I know you're the son of the noble Samiadel family, rulers of the north, just like the Ryam family rules the regions. And I know that despite your good reputation as a noble and strong mercenary from the Seven, the truth that nobody knows is that you're also a member of the secret purification cult. Not just any member, but someone with high rank in it. You serve the demoness and manipulate everyone for your personal benefit." Hart began stepping back, shocked, and said in a hoarse voice, "How did you know this? And does anyone else besides you know this truth?" Jaeon laughed more and said sharply, "What would make me tell anyone else? This is between you and me." Hart smiled sarcastically and said, having regained his confidence, "You're stupid or overconfident, because now, the easiest thing I can do is kill you here before anyone knows anything about me. This way, my secret disappears with you forever, and I can continue my plan and get rid of Ryan easily." Jaeon replied, "You're overconfident. But unfortunately, all your plans will be wasted here." Hart suddenly used his special cutting sword skill and drew his sword with terrifying speed. "You'll see my strongest techniques, and you won't even have time to think about escaping." Hart attacked with amazing speed, smiled roughly, and shouted, "My speed makes my enemies not even see my sword. Only one champion in all my battles managed to dodge it. You're not one of them. Get ready to die." But the surprise was that Hart's attack didn't hit Jaeon at all. Time stopped for a second, and Hart found himself screaming in pain. Jaeon had entered his attack circle and cut off the hand holding the sword with amazing skill before he realized it. Hart fell to his knees, screaming in pain, saying in amazement, How did this happen? Why didn't my fastest strike hit you? I didn't even see a glimpse of your attack." John stood in front of him in deadly calm and said, "You made two big mistakes. First, you thought you were stronger than me, and that's not true. Second, you didn't attack me with full force from the beginning. You had your only chance to finish me in the first moment, but your arrogance made you play and show off. Now, your chance is over." John unleashed his Black Star powers at that moment, and a dark aura appeared around him as if swallowing the light from the air, and Hart was terrified. But madness took control of him, and he screamed and unleashed his final special ability, rushing with everything he had left toward Jaeon in a desperate attempt to attack. Hart rushed with his attack using his special ability, Moon Cutter, and shouted with a voice full of pride and confidence, "I'm attacking you with my special ability, Moon Cutter, and no matter how strong you are, you won't be able to survive this attack." He was laughing sarcastically and asking Jaeon, "What will you do now? You'll meet your end today without doubt." But Jaeon was facing the situation with calm and steadiness. He looked at him with eyes full of mockery and said, "You're repeating the same mistakes I told you about." He unleashed his Black Star ability, his magical energy spread everywhere around him, and he countered Hart's attacks easily. Then added, "I asked you not to underestimate my power, but you're truly stupid." Hart was amazed by the scene and said with his mouth half open, "This is impossible. No one can deal with my attack." In a flash, Jaeon moved in front of Hart, approached him and said in a cold, focused tone, "But when I told you about your betrayal, you should have realized there's a huge difference between our powers, and then you should have used the opportunity to escape." John's magical energy unleashed at that moment with full intensity and attacked him, managing to deliver a fatal blow. Hart was shocked, and signs of death began appearing on him as he said in a weak voice, "Even if you kill me, you won't be able to stop our plan because execution has already begun." John replied with quiet confidence, "Don't worry, I know everything about them, and about the hidden members like you, and the moment they move, I'll destroy them one by one." Hart stepped back, eyes wide. "This is impossible. Who are you?" Joan finished him off in that moment. Jaeon moved through the forest afterward, his voice calm as he spoke to himself. Ryan and her group should be in the middle of the forest by now. I need to finish my task here quickly and catch up with them. As he moved through the dark forest passages, he soon found a massive stone tablet in one of the shadowy corners. He muttered, "I was sure I'd find this tablet here. This is a sacred tablet, previously used to seal the demon in this forest for years. I don't know why they left it here. It would have been better in the middle of the forest where its power would be greater. But that doesn't matter now. I don't have time to think about these details. I need to use the tablet for my plan immediately." But as soon as Jaeon approached the tablet, he was surprised by giant hands appearing behind him. "Looks like there are powerful spirits sealed in this tablet, and they're starting to appear as soon as I got close to it." Those giant hands attacked him quickly, but Jaeon was completely focused, skillfully blocking all their attacks using his magic. He muttered to himself, "Getting rid of those hands won't solve the problem. I need to find the main spirit, controlling them all." Without hesitation, he went directly to the spirit hiding in the forest shadows. "This is the spirit I'm looking for." He attacked it with all his strength and finally managed to destroy it. And with that, the hands and other attacking spirits will automatically disappear. Indeed, those spirits began disappearing one by one as the main spirit vanished. John approached the sacred tablet again, his eyes full of seriousness and determination. According to the story, the hero party is supposed to use this tablet in the future to seal the demon known for evil. But of course, if I let them do what they want, the seal will be far too weak. That's why I need to intervene myself now. He began merging his magic and ancient magic circles with the tablet. This will make the seal much stronger. Then he used the storage stone to transfer the sacred spirit within it to help against the demon. But suddenly strange energy emerged from the forest depths. "Looks like the event I was waiting for has finally begun." He quickly rushed to where Ryan and her group were advancing through the forest. Hearing their tense argument, Ragno was asking them, "Are we still going to advance further? We should have rescued Hart before coming here since we're spending all this time." Kyla replied firmly, "Stop the worthless talk now and continue your mission. We have plenty of monsters ahead and need to deal with them." Ryan told them, "We need to move to a deeper point in the forest. I'm sure we'll find the demon and her sealing stone there." Ryan was tense, wondering to herself about the demon's power they would face, but she didn't know any real information about that power. But Siri suddenly intervened and stopped in front of them. "You'd better not continue on your path. There's great danger ahead of you." Ryan asked her, "What do you mean?" Siri told her, "I sense enormous demonic energy ahead, and I assure you that you'll all die if you advance any further." Suddenly, the forest began closing in on them, and the trees blocked all the passages. Ryan was shocked. What's happening? Why is the forest trapping us like this? At that moment, the demon suddenly appeared before them, a being wrapped in darkness and dread, and approached them. "I've been waiting for you for so long. You wasted a lot of time." Ryan was terrified and whispered, "The evil has finally appeared." But the demon was puzzled by Ryan's words. "Do you mean me by the evil one? I really hate that title." She approached them and added, "Why do you call me evil? I was just achieving my goals. Just like each of you has your own goals you strive for." Ryan shouted to her team, "Get ready, we'll fight her now. She's still newly freed from the seal, so no doubt her power hasn't fully returned yet." Ragnall was amazed. "I can't believe this is the powerful demon that was imprisoned in the forest." Ryan replied, I was sure it was her, the sealed demon. I was able to sense her presence, but she's very weak now because the seal hasn't completely disappeared yet. Then, she asked everyone to attack the demon immediately. Come on, we need to attack her now and finish her off. But she was shocked when Ragnall fell in front of her, after receiving a fatal injury, collapsing beside her and dying instantly. Ryan was stunned. What's happening? Who attacked him now? The demon didn't even move from her spot. She began checking her group members, only to discover they had all been killed by Lion himself. Kyla was shocked. What did you do? Why are you attacking your friends? Have you lost your mind? Ryan was stunned. This is impossible. Lion was laughing and moving away from them. You're all so stupid. I don't have friends at all, and my only loyalty is to the beast that rules this forest. Then he approached the demon, revealing his tattoo. I came to your place as I promised you, and I must fulfill my promise to serve you and free you from this place. Ryan was amazed. Impossible. Lion belongs to the purification cult. How is that? I don't understand. Lion told the demon. I punished the scoundrels who invaded your forest intending to harm you, and I also brought you Ryan, granddaughter of the hero who sealed you in the forest, so you can finally get your revenge. Ryan looked shocked. What are you talking about? We're friends. We should be more than family. We grew up together since we were 3 years old. Lion ignored her and told the demon, the hero's granddaughter is now at your mercy, and you'll be able to get revenge on her for the injustice you suffered from being sealed in the forest by her grandfather. The demon spoke to Lion. You're right, I don't like this girl. She seems stupid and unaware of her true power. But still, why did you kill my prey? I don't like sharing my meal with anyone. Lion was surprised by her question. What do you mean? I got rid of them to protect you. That's my duty. But the demon attacked him with her magic and killed him instantly. I hate stupid followers like you. Then she turned to Ryan. What do you think? Do you think you came to my forest as a hunter or as prey? At that moment, we shift to Siri, who appeared before Jian as he headed toward the demon's location. Siri looked scared and asked Jian to flee with her immediately. Lion betrayed us. He killed all the group members. The demon that appeared has terrifying power. No human can defeat her or even touch her. Jaeon was puzzled. Did you leave your group and run away? Siri looked disturbed. What are you thinking? We need to flee from here immediately. We don't have time. The demon will find us soon and kill us. We need to ask for help to save Ryan. But Jaeon was laughing. And why would we ask for help? This is the perfect opportunity for Ryan to become stronger. This has been my goal from the beginning. Then we learn the demon's truth. She had been just an ordinary human who was born and lived her childhood normally. But as days passed, her desire for bloodshed increased, and she couldn't explain what was happening inside her. Until she met a fortune teller who told her that her fate had already been determined, and that she would become a known demon, an enemy of humanity. At that point, the girl didn't doubt the fortune teller's words, because she realized her destiny had been drawn for her and she wouldn't be able to change it. In fact, she didn't want to change her fate at all. She didn't want to escape from a destiny that was enjoyable for her, because this way she could feel the pleasure of killing without blaming herself. She knew that her consequence would be sealing because of her transformation into an enemy of the whole world. But she didn't care and continued her path in blood, as this path was her only way to feel ecstasy. We return to the demon standing before Ryan, addressing her mockingly. Are you really the granddaughter of the hero Denier? I never thought that strong bastard would produce such weak offspring. Even bringing you to me was entertaining. He was extremely weak to me, but he succeeded in finding a way to seal me. But you don't seem entertaining. Even finishing you off won't be entertaining for me. Finally, she asked, do you know that I'm going to attack the city of Rowan and destroy it completely after I get rid of you first? Ryan was suddenly in a state of shock and amazement when she heard the demon's threat toward the city of Ronan. She immediately began gathering all her strength, determined not to let evil extend to her people. The demon addressed her mockingly. I've suppressed my desire to feed on humans for a long time because of the seal, and I was only allowed 5 people per month. But now I'm free and my hunger is so great that one city won't satisfy it. Anger swept across Ryan's features, so she unleashed her power. I will never let you do that. The demon looked at her with surprise. Have you finally decided to resist? I thought you would surrender or try to escape. But Ryan clenched her fist, summoned her spear with lightning power. I can't let you play around as you please. I'll get rid of you now and protect my city. She launched forward and stabbed the demon with the lightning spear. How many more humans will you need to satisfy your beastly hunger? You've killed many innocents from my people, and I'll end your life along with this hunger. Here, the demon laughed loudly. Finally, you came to your senses and decided to fight me. I thought you were boring and I wouldn't enjoy eating you, as I hate feeding on desperate people because my pleasure becomes weak. I like devouring them at the peak of their courage. Ryan felt confused and wronged. How is she still alive? I attacked her with all my strength. The demon laughed. This power won't even affect me. Suddenly, several savage wolves burst from her body. I love that glint of despair in your eyes. You finally abandoned your courage and decided to surrender. Ryan felt terrified. I'll die if those beasts hit me. She dodged the savage wolves' attacks with incredible speed and moved away from them. I'll finish you off now. She approached the demoness again. But at that moment, another savage wolf appeared and swallowed her spear before it could touch the demoness. Ryan was shocked. Impossible. My spear made of black metal was destroyed like that. Immediately, the demoness released a large number of beasts. You should use all your power now. My entertainment is starting to fade. Ryan was utterly stunned. I never imagined the gap between our powers was this huge. The beasts rushed toward her. She tried to attack but had to dodge them and quickly escape their vicinity, while the demoness kept laughing. You must use all your power now. You'll be killed by my wolves as if you never fought me at all. Ryan moved quickly upward and gathered lightning magic, summoning a lightning spear in her hands. I have to destroy this demoness with just one attack. She's extremely powerful now, and if her power is completely freed from the seal, she'll become a danger to the entire world. She sent all the mana and magical energy into the lightning spear. I'll lose all my energy after this strike, but I have no other choice. She launched a violent attack that shattered the ground and completely destroyed the place with the power of the lightning spear. Ryan collapsed to the ground, exhausted by pain and suffering from the loss of all her energy and magic. I haven't depleted my power and magic like this in a long time. My body will suffer for a long time after using my secret technique, but I had no other solution. The demoness must have been severely injured by this attack. I need to make sure she's destroyed before she recovers her full energy. But the surprise was the demoness appearing before her, laughing mockingly. Did you really think an attack like that would actually kill me? Your attack was strong, and if I were truly weak because of the seal as you imagine, I would have died now. But you're wrong. The seal was broken long ago. I simply didn't move or attack you because I was recovering my strength and health. Now I'm at the peak of my power. Then, she summoned a huge number of demonic serpents and prepared to attack. Ryan said, "This is impossible. This means she's been at full power for a long time." The demoness kept laughing. "Exactly. You never had any chance of beating me from the beginning. I was just giving you hope, so I could destroy you at the peak of your despair." She sent her serpents to attack Ryan. "What do you think now? Do you still believe you can defeat me?" Ryan's strength failed her. "This is impossible. No one can defeat her. We never had any chance at all." The serpents attacked Ryan. Unable to move, she muttered in pain, "I have no chance of escape or victory. Everything that happened was my fault. My friends were killed and my city will be destroyed because of me. I was foolish and deserved to die before them." The serpents surrounded her and were about to finish her off. At that moment, Jane appeared, using dark magic to counter the serpents, which completely shocked Ryan. Where did this magic come from? Great amazement showed on her face when she saw Jaeon directly in front of her. She asked him, stuttering, "What are you doing here?" But she quickly lost consciousness. Jaeon kept watching her, muttering to himself. It seems she was severely shocked by what she faced. The power gap between them was enormous, so much that it destroyed the courage that drove her to fight. The demoness was still laughing. "I didn't expect you to show up here. I told you before that I'd kill you if you came to my place." Jaeon smiled. "Should I call you by your demonic name, or by Loshina from when you were human?" The demoness froze in place and looked at him in amazement. "I never expected you to know my identity." Then she began gathering her magic. "Do you know my other titles too? Are you stupid enough to come here knowing my true power?" Jaeon smiled calmly. "Of course, I know all your titles. You're humanity's enemy, and the fiercest creature to kill humans in their history. And the most famous number the world knows you by is your title, the Demonic Blood Witch." Loshina replied with calm confidence, "I know you're not stupid, and what you saw now should have been enough to warn you to run from me." Jaeon said with a confident smile, "And why would I run?" She answered, "Because I'll kill you if you don't run from here." "The answer is obvious." Jaeon laughed. "Unfortunately, I don't intend to die today, especially at your hands." Loshina seemed surprised. "What do you mean? What's the reason for coming here in the first place?" Jaeon said, "Simply put, I came here to make you submit to me, and from now on you'll be my follower." Then he added, addressing her confidently, "Since the moment I arrived in this world, you've always been one of my main targets to convert into one of my followers to achieve my goal. At first, I planned to add Ryan to my team, but I decided to give up on her because she's not mature yet, and she's supposed to be part of the hero's team. I don't want to affect his path because he'll be helpful to me in the future." Loshina laughed loudly. "Are you saying now that you'll turn me into your follower? You must be truly foolish. But I like entertaining enemies. I'll give you a chance to prove your ability to do this." She released her power, unleashing an army of demonic beasts and directing them toward Jaeon. "Show me your ability now and face me with everything you have." Jaeon took out his storage stone and summoned the sacred seal spirit from it, threw it before her and activated it in the place, then began activating seal magic on Loshina. Loshina was surprised. "What are you doing?" Jian said firmly, I'm sealing you. I told you from the beginning that you'll be my follower. In an instant, both of them were transported into a magical world created by the sacred tablet. Jaeon said, this magical world was made with the magic in the sacred tablet, and the tablet's function is to harm the spirit and beast that tries to serve it. Here, we'll be imprisoned in a magical world, and the stronger spirit will seal the weaker one. The wizard who created this tablet is known for soul destruction magic. He continued with a cunning smile, I was prepared for battle from the beginning. So I searched for the tablet first, then stored it in the storage stone I took from the spy. The sacred tablet has several parts, but I can't store them all, so I used only the main part. True, the magic will be weaker, but it will serve the purpose. Loshina laughed again. Do you think that with this old trick, you'll be able to seal me again with ancient magic? There's one problem with your plan. She added confidently, I knew what you would do, and I watched you and your team from the moment you entered the forest. Do you think I let you take the sacred tablet like that, without purpose? I knew you would use it against me, she said coldly. The answer is simple. It won't help you against me. Soul destruction magic isn't seal magic as you think, but an ancient art that consumes the stronger soul to destroy the weaker soul. That's why I tell you that you'll fail, because the seal spirit is much weaker than me. Then she continued, that bastard Derner used many tricks to succeed in sealing me in my moment of weakness, but luck doesn't repeat twice. I spent centuries in the forest sealed, and I strengthened my soul with demonic magic and huge sacrifices. It's impossible for you to win now. The magic around her intensified. What do you think? Does he think he can defeat me despite my soul's power? I offered you a chance to escape and wanted to spare you. But you're a fool and trapped yourself in magic that only one soul survives. You'll lose your life. Jaeon said calmly, I myself don't know which soul is stronger. We'll find out now. We won't lose anything. He continued, I was always wondering, is the soul inside me really that of the strongest emperor in the world? Or is it just Jaeon's soul carrying memories and part of the power? I'll test my theory now. He went on explaining, soul destruction magic compares two souls, then the stronger soul destroys the weaker soul. If my original soul is still inside me, I'll lose the battle now. Loshina laughed loudly. Did you really come here to test your soul and power? You couldn't even defeat 7 of the strongest mercenaries combined. So how do you think you'll beat me? She continued threateningly, I was thinking of leaving you alive because your power deserves life, but you provoked me, so I decided your life has no value anymore. She said that, released her power in the next moment and began summoning a large number of demonic serpents. Do you know how many souls I've stored in my body? She asked Jaeon, then merged those serpents into a giant demonic serpent. This is my special ability, Sangaria's Dream, which will absorb and destroy your soul. Loshina attacked Jaeon with the giant serpent, laughing mockingly. It's over for you now. You'll become part of my power, and my soul will crush you. But Jaeon unleashed dark magic in a flash, annihilating the serpent in seconds, and even cut off Loshina's hand at the same moment. Loshina stood stunned, looking at her severed hand in disbelief. What's happening? Why was my hand cut off? I'm sure you didn't use a special attack. So why did my ability vanish with my hand? Jaeon answered calmly, the answer is simple. Serpents can't devour prey much larger than themselves. Because of my power and thanks to your soul and our entry into soul destruction magic, I can release a large part of my power without fear of my body being destroyed. That's why I can now use part of my old power. And when the Black Star's power is completely unleashed, no enemy can face it. Loshina was healing herself while asking nervously, what did you do? He answered, I think you already know. You're weaker than me now. Loshina got angry and unleashed her magic. How dare you end it this way? I'll destroy you now. John said coldly, you talk too much. You're a waste of time. Then he attacked her with all his power, throwing her into the wall until the soul world shook and a crack appeared in the magic, while Loshina remained stunned. What is this power? What's happening? Jaeon moved quickly in front of her. You know the truth, or you're more stupid than I thought, she said while stunned. This is impossible. No human is stronger than me. Jaeon didn't give her the chance, pouncing on her quickly and destroying her head. I came here to prove your theory wrong. Your power doesn't compare to mine. I'm stronger. As soon as she was about to collapse, he asked her, will you surrender now? Resistance won't help. Loshina quickly regenerated her head and retreated far away, screaming and cursing at him. How dare you? I'm the strongest demoness who terrorized humanity. I've been too merciful with you, but now you'll realize why humans feared me. I'll make you suffer and wish for death from me before I end your life. But Jaeon moved to her and attacked her with his prayer magic. destroying her once again. You talk too much. I told you the power gap between us is so huge that you won't even be able to scratch me. Lucina continued regenerating her body with the demonic blood witch's magical power, but John kept destroying her each time. With every regeneration attempt, Lucina became more shocked and wondered, what's happening? Why can't I escape from him? His power is crushing, and my body gets destroyed every time he touches me. She suffered and screamed, no, this is impossible. No human can do this to me. For the first time in my life as a demonic witch, I feel humiliation and shame, and worse, I'm starting to feel fear. When did my heart start beating with fear? I think it was the moment he stopped my strongest abilities and cut off my hand without me even seeing his attack. No, it was when he told me he came to test his power on me. I didn't understand his words then, and I didn't suspect he wasn't an ordinary human. I thought I was controlling him since he entered the forest, and I allowed him to take the sacred tablet, thinking he wouldn't be able to use it against me. I imagined I would control him in the end, but I was wrong the whole time. He deceived me from the beginning, made me think he lost control while he was weaving the threads of his plan to control me. Lucina's gaze filled with terror, and she whispered, what will I do now? I never thought I might die even against the heroes themselves. Lucina kept screaming and begging him to stop, but Jaeon was laughing. You're asking me to stop. Don't worry, I know there are many souls in your body mixed with your original soul, so you won't die now. He continued his attack, burning her with the Black Star's power and said, your special ability, Sanjaria's Dream, allows you to drain the life and age of those you kill and use them for your power, which is why you have many souls inside you and don't die easily. Lucina was shocked. How did you know about my special ability? And about the souls? This is impossible. Jaeon said briefly, be quiet. He continued tearing her apart every time she regenerated, and added, there are many magical obedience contracts, but the strongest contract is the one that seals and binds the soul directly. This is extremely rare, as no one can easily reach another person's soul. But because we're inside soul destruction magic, I can now easily imprint the obedience I want on your soul. He kept laughing loudly and said, I'll teach you obedience myself, and you'll know that I'm your master, and you'll serve me for the rest of your life. Jaeon said while smiling, the Black Star's ability is to plant fear in any being's soul, and I'll use this power to turn you into my servant. And I haven't even reached a quarter of those souls. I'll keep destroying you over and over until I reach half the souls, then we'll talk together. Moments of violent fighting passed inside the soul destruction magic world, and when the battle finally ended, Jaeon emerged victorious from the magic to find himself in the same place he entered from. He said while observing things around him, it seems not much time has passed since I entered the soul world. Ryan is still sleeping on the ground. I think I only stayed there for 5 minutes. He looked toward Lucina, who was still suffering from what he did to her in the soul world. He said to himself, I've planted the obedience contract directly on her soul. It's not the perfect contract I was hoping for, but it serves the purpose. I intended to establish obedience deeper in her soul, but the soul destruction magic couldn't withstand the Black Star's ability and broke quickly. The important thing is that I managed to do it. If I hadn't intervened and defeated Lucina, she would have exploded her power as the demonic chaos witch and spread destruction in the world, causing many disasters for the kingdom and the hero. Now I'm changing the future again. Lucina finally woke up, watching Jaeon with amazement and muttering, this is impossible. I've been defeated. For the first time in my life, I felt such fear before a human. And worse than that, he planted an obedience contract on my soul itself. Where did this bastard get such crushing power? I've never faced a human with this power before. Despite her bitterness, she started laughing and said to him, I'm now obligated to obey you thanks to the contract, but I promise you that the day will come when I'll lift this restraint from my soul and get my full power back, and then I'll destroy you in the worst possible way. I promise you that as the strongest demonic witch on earth. John smiled and said, well, if you can hurt me someday, I'll welcome any attempt from you when you're free from your contract. He added, and by the way, possible Zadie Atkins Daddy too. From now on, you'll call me. Lucina stopped, looking stunned, and said to him, fine. I acknowledge that you're my master. Then she stood before him and said, since you're my master now, I have a question. Jaeon was surprised and said to her, what do you want? We need to leave here, I have many things to do. She answered, actually, I just wanted you to know that I love killing. This is my nature and destiny. I can't go against it, even if I try. My menu includes all living and non-living beings, and I prefer the strongest among them. Then she looked directly at him and asked, since you're my master now, how much will you allow me to kill? You need to provide me with victims to satisfy me. Jaeon laughed and said reassuringly, don't worry. As long as you're with me, you'll get a number of victims you never imagined in your entire life. Days passed, and one day, Baron Ryan came to Ryan, who had returned to her castle. He asked her with concern, will you continue like this for long? Ryan didn't answer and was very angry, so he said to her, 3 days have passed since we found you outside the Black Forest unconscious. We examined the forest and found traces of a huge battle, and we didn't find any of your friends who entered the forest with you. And since you left there, you haven't talked to anyone and refused to tell us about the fate of the demoness or your team. Ryan left her and said, rest or eat something at least. Your health is important and you must recover it. Ryan remained sad, repeating to herself, everything that happened was because of me. I entered the forest with my friends, despite my weakness, and didn't assess the situation well. So they all died because of me. I can't believe that those I lived with my entire life ended up this way because of my recklessness and desire to destroy a power that far exceeds us. Then she spoke to herself with determination. No, I won't let their sacrifice go in vain. I must become stronger and I won't be defeated again no matter who my opponent is. She added, I'm sure the demonic blood witch is still alive. I felt a connection between us when she attacked me, and this connection still exists, which means she's still living. I promise her that I'll become stronger and I'll find her and I'll take revenge on her for everything she did, because everything that happened was my fault. She suddenly wondered, and what about Jaeon? I don't know anything about him since I left the forest. Is he still alive or did the witch kill him before me? No, I saw his power myself, and I'm sure he's still alive. It's impossible for him to die at the hands of that demonic witch. I really hope to see him again. But before that I must be much stronger so I won't be a burden on others. Meanwhile, we move to Elena, director of the Moon's Eye organization branch, who was receiving a report from her followers about the events in Ryan province and what happened with Jaeon there. Elena asked her assistant, is this news accurate? He answered, yes, our best spies watched the strange person who appeared recently and gathered this report. Elena listened, then said, amazed, according to the report, the Black Forest disappeared with the evil that inhabited it, and all the monsters were exterminated and the forest is now completely natural. No one knows what happened there. Does this mean the demoness was killed and that's why the forest was purified and we controlled it? The assistant replied, the spies couldn't enter the forest behind Ryan's team, as they were afraid they wouldn't come out of it. But from the behavior of those who survived, it's believed that the demoness was indeed destroyed. Elena said slowly, but if the demoness that inhabited the forest was the demonic blood witch, how could she be defeated so easily? She interrupted herself and added, the defeat of the demonic blood witch shouldn't be ignored no matter what the reason. I must investigate the matter and find out who defeated her and how they won against her. Did the royal family intervene themselves and send one of their children with special abilities? There's no other human who could face the demonic blood witch, even if the only explanation is the royal family's intervention. Elena said that her organization had been watching the royal family for a long time, especially the children, and discovered that each of these children possesses terrifying power that even exceeds human understanding, and they alone are capable of facing the blood witch easily. She added that her biggest suspicion revolved around the person they were watching who entered the forest with the raid group, and she's sure he's one of the royal family's children, but she can't determine his identity specifically. Then she asked her assistant if they had learned any information about that boy, and he replied that they searched the records and history of the entire royal family and found no prince with these characteristics except for one person only. Elena said she was certain of it, and that such brutal power could only come from the royal family. She asked him about the identity of that person. So he answered that, according to what they knew, he was Prince Jaeon, known by the title of the imprisoned prince, and that he was the emperor's youngest son. The news that reached them also indicated that his brothers were planning to eliminate him soon. After that, we moved to the Royal Army sorcerer, commander of the 4th Division, Bingham, who was talking with the head guard Fredo, asking him if he would continue wasting his time like this, and that he needed to see Prince Jaeon immediately and wouldn't leave until he met him. Fredo asked him about the reason for wanting to meet the prince, reminding him that the princes were busy and didn't meet with ordinary people like him, and that it would be better to schedule an appointment and return at another time to meet the royal family. Here, Bingham asked him if he was stupid, explaining that he came with direct orders from the royal family and needed Jaeon's signature on this paper immediately. Fredo told him that Prince John had left on his journey about a week ago and wondered why he hadn't returned yet, pointing out that he couldn't stall the royal family and their followers any longer, and wondered if something had happened to Prince Jaeon, especially since he was very strong and supposedly no one could harm him, but he still felt worried. Bingham asked Fredo again about why he was stalling, confirming that he had already told him that Jaeon must sign the papers to participate in the succession ceremony, and that this was his last chance, or he would be permanently excluded from the succession. He demanded that the papers be delivered to Jaeon immediately, or he would return and report to the royal family that he had withdrawn from the ceremony. Fredo asked him about the reason for this delegation's existence, confirming that it had never happened before for a prince to sign papers for participation, and that Jaeon had already told them he would participate in the ceremony like his other brothers, so why insist on the signature? Bingham continued laughing, while saying he was sure Jaeon didn't want to participate, and added that he had been waiting to meet Jaeon for 3 days, and every day the guard would tell him that Jaeon was busy or sick or give any other excuse to prevent him from meeting him. He was sure that Jaeon was in the palace, but was deliberately avoiding him, or maybe had actually fled the palace, since his other brothers were present in the main palace, while he was the only one in the exile palace, because he was expelled from the main palace due to his weakness. He explained that if Jaeon tried to leave his palace, he should inform the royal family first, so either he was avoiding him or had actually fled. He continued laughing, confirming that he would prove to the royal family that Jaeon was either avoiding his responsibilities or had left the palace without permission, and thus would provide a great service to the third prince and receive a huge reward in return. Then asked Fredo to tell them Jaeon's location immediately, for his own benefit. Fredo told him that Jaeon was sick and therefore resting in his room and wouldn't be able to meet him, and that he was supposed to return tomorrow. But Bingham ignored him and rushed toward Jaeon's room, shouting at him to shut up, and that he had to meet him today, while Fredo was warning him to behave respectfully because what he was doing was a great crime in the prince's palace. Bingham kept laughing, saying that Jaeon wouldn't be a prince after today, and therefore it wouldn't be a crime to enter his room then. Fredo panicked and described the situation as a real mess, wondering where Jaeon was. Bingham stormed into the prince's room and apologized for entering without permission, but said he needed to meet him immediately, and was surprised when he found Jaeon sitting inside his room. Jaeon told him that what he did represented great disrespect for his position and that he had made a grave mistake. Panic appeared on Bingham's face, and he wondered how Jaeon was here, since he thought he was either avoiding meeting him or outside the palace altogether. Jaeon said he had asked a question and hadn't received an answer. Bingham stammered and apologized for his mistake, confirming that he came to deliver necessary papers for his benefit. Then he stood watching him amazed while wondering to himself what was going on, trying to understand if the rumors he had heard about Jaeon were wrong, or if the prince had actually changed, since he now saw him with an imposing gaze and strong aura and power, and could be compared to his terrifying brothers. Then Jaeon asked him for the papers. Bingham was shocked and asked him, "What papers?" Jaeon answered, "The papers you tore up and want me to sign." Bingham was surprised and said, "Right." Then he went to hand him the paper, apologizing for wasting his time, and explained that the signature was necessary. Jaeon actually signed the papers, then said to Bingham warningly, "I warned you and whoever sent you to me that I don't like rudeness in dealing with me. And this will be the last warning for you, or you'll face the consequences." After that, Fredo asked Jaeon, "Where were you?" "I was dying of fear for you. The royal palace was looking for you all last week just to sign these papers." Jaeon answered while smiling, "I was indeed late, and I would have missed the succession ceremony, but that's not important." Then he wondered to himself if Lashina had completed the orders he had given her in the capital, and confirmed to himself that she was supposed to return before the ceremony began. Then Jaeon asked Fredo, "Did you prepare what I requested from you before I left on my journey?" Fredo said, "If you mean the ghoul's heart you received as a gift from Princess Evelyn, it has already been prepared the way you requested." Jaeon answered, "Now is the right time to absorb the power of the ghoul's heart. I had to wait for a while because the process I explained to them was difficult, but the wait was worth it. With absorbing the heart, I will greatly increase this weak body's strength as well as my mana energy. This way, I'll be able to reach 2 levels of Black Star power before the succession ceremony. This is very important for executing my plan easily." Meanwhile, we moved to the assassin's headquarters who had been attacking Jaeon in his palace, and the assassin's leader was talking to his group, saying that the person who hired them to assassinate Jaeon was very angry about their failure, especially after failing twice in a row to eliminate him, and this was natural because he paid a lot of money, hoping they would succeed. His assistant said, according to the account of one of the assassins who managed to escape from Jaeon's palace, there's a very powerful person protecting Jaeon from any attacks. The assassin who heard the conversation was puzzled, and said, "Why would anyone sacrifice themselves to protect someone rejected by his family? Even his family abandoned him, so what's the benefit of defending him?" The leader replied, "I don't know, and I don't care about that. We have a mission to finish. We need to find a solution to deal with that mysterious protector. Get yourselves ready, we'll attack tonight. If we don't complete the mission, we won't get our payment and we'll become hunted." They replied, "Fine, we'll prepare all our followers and head toward Jaeon's palace in 2 hours. We'll use all our power this time." The leader said, "Prepare now, everything you need is available, and we'll attack immediately after finishing the preparations." One of his followers asked, "I heard that Jeon will participate in the coronation ceremony. Doesn't that mean the royal palace will protect him?" The leader answered confidently, "Don't worry. The person who hired us will provide us help as usual and will open a direct path to Jeon for us, without interference from the royal guard." Another follower asked, "Who is this person who hired us? If he's this powerful, why didn't he complete the mission himself?" The leader attacked this follower with his dagger and killed him, shouting, "Shut up. You're not one of us to ask that question." Here, Lucina appeared, who had been controlling the killed assassin, and kept laughing and said to the leader, "You're really smart. You quickly understood that your assistant fell under someone else's control. This is expected from an old assassin like you. You have very strong observations." She started watching the corpse, then said, "But there's a problem. This assassin was my meal tonight, and I hate anyone sharing my meal with me. So, I'll feed on all of you." The remaining assassins surrounded her and asked, "Who are you? And how did you get in here?" She answered provocatively, "And why do you want to know that? Anyway, you'll die soon." The assassins attacked her, saying she was very arrogant, but that didn't matter as long as they would eliminate her now. Lucina kept laughing, saying, "I never thought my master would provide my first meal this quickly. I was very hungry, and you bastards are strong and suitable to be my dinner tonight." One of the assassins tried to hit Lucina, saying, "I'll eliminate you now." But Lucina's special snake appeared, and another assassin pounced on her quickly and jumped over the snake, trying to attack her while saying, "I'll avenge you for what you did to my friend." Lucina said to him, "If you're sad about him, don't worry, you'll join him right away." Then she attacked him with the blood blade and eliminated him and said, "This way you two are reunited again for one purpose, increasing my power." At that moment, 2 of the assassins attacked her using stealth power and managed to hit her and pin her in place and said, "We finally caught you." The assassin's leader advanced and attacked her forcefully, shouting, "It's time for you to die. I'm a monster and won't show you any mercy." And he managed to cut off her head. All his followers gathered around Lucina's head and said, "What is this rose? Where did it come from?" The leader said confidently, "I don't care who she is or who sent her. I just want to know who sent her to us." He asked his followers to carry out the mission first and then investigate the girl's matter. But Lucina's head started talking, saying, "What monster are you talking about?" The assassins were surprised and said, "What's happening here?" Lucina began regenerating her body again, and didn't stop laughing while asking them mockingly. Lucina continued regenerating herself completely in moments, and released through her ability a large number of snakes and turned toward them. The assassins retreated away from her as terror controlled them, and some of them wondered what was happening, while the assassin's leader asked them in a trembling voice, "Who are you? You're not human, and your power exceeds even the power of monsters." At that moment, Lucina attacked them without mercy, and began devouring them while laughing, thanking them for her meal. "I was very hungry." Then we learn the details of the succession ceremonies, which are held as a test for members of the royal family when they reach legal age, from which crown prince candidates are chosen to succeed the throne. Naturally, not all children are required to participate, as the strong ones are nominated by the emperor himself without needing the exam. It's not only official royal family members who have the right to enter the ceremonies, but also children of branch families and the emperor's children from concubines. Although children of branch families and concubines cannot become crown princes, even if they pass the test, their participation aims to prove strength and gives them a chance to enter the main royal palace, which is usually forbidden to them. And this opportunity only comes once in a lifetime. At that moment, the scene shifts to the palace where the succession ceremonies will be held. There, 2 children from branch families talk together, a girl speaking to her relative or brother. "I didn't expect you'd participate in the ceremonies." We learn the boy's name is Phile Unis, so he answers, "I also didn't expect to see you participating here, Lynette." Lynette tells him, "I'm someone who likes to seize opportunities, so I have no choice but to participate." It becomes clear to us that her full name is Lynette Eunice. Lynette says, "I couldn't believe the coronation ceremonies would be held this year. I thought they'd cancel them." Phile said, "They could have been cancelled, but because of the exiled prince's participation, they decided to hold them." Lynette laughed. "I never expected the worst prince in the Agnes family's history, who brings shame to his family, would participate in the ceremonies." Phile said, "If the rumors about his failure are true, what makes him participate in the first place? I really don't understand anything." Lynette told him, "By participating like this, he's practically sentencing himself to death. I think either he was forced to participate, or someone pressured him so they could get rid of him." She added, "The emperor must carry special qualities beyond other humans, be extremely intelligent, distinguish truth from lies, have strategy to make the kingdom prosper." and of course, overwhelming power over allies and enemies. King Agnes the First set up the succession test, so only those who deserve it would compete for the throne. I heard no prince has died during coronation ceremonies because the royal family usually intervenes and protects them. But I think Jion will be their first victim, and that's very suitable for us to gain fame at his expense. File said, he's living like a mouse now, even though everyone knows him. Lynette said mockingly, he's very late, it's clear he won't participate. This will be the first succession ceremony without any legitimate prince present. The rest of the participants were laughing, saying they'd finally get fame without a prince stealing it from them, while the exam supervisor told everyone, get ready, we'll start immediately in Prince Jion's absence. But at that moment, Jion entered. I'm here to participate. Everyone was shocked and asked, who is this? Lynette kept watching him. This is impossible. He's completely different from the rumors I heard about him. This man isn't weak, he's extremely dangerous. Guyon apologized to the supervisor for being late and asked him to start immediately, so the latter said amazed. Since Prince Guyon has arrived, I'll explain the test to you and we'll start right away. This year's succession ceremony test will be held in the Palace of Qualifications. Jion looked around. I'm really late. They were going to exclude me from the ceremonies, and my whole plan would have collapsed. To be able to reach 2 stars with the Black Star's power, I had to strengthen my body greatly, as a weak body can't handle the Black Star's overwhelming mana power. So I absorbed the Ghoul Heart power that my sister Evelyn gave me. As soon as his physical strength increased after absorbing the Ghoul Heart, he could easily upgrade the Black Star to 2 stars. After that, Jion began contemplating what kind of test awaited him, mentioning that the novel he read actually begins after Jion's death, at the hands of the killers who attacked him in his palace, which is why the royal family cancelled the succession ceremonies for a period of time. Jion watched all the test participants, and he could read their emotions, finding that most of them either doubted him or mocked him, while some pitied him thinking he would die in this test, and that there wasn't a single person who believed in his strength. He told himself he expected this from them because they all knew rumors of the weakest imprisoned prince, and he intended to prove them all wrong, though some of them had actually seen a moment of his true strength. While Supervisor Henry was speaking to everyone at that moment, he explained that their test was very simple. The palace consists of several floors, and only the first 3 to reach the top floor would succeed in the succession ceremonies. He explained there were supervisors on each floor watching and ensuring participants' safety if needed. He asked them to start immediately and wished them luck, emphasizing caution in this challenge because it wouldn't be easy for most of them, then left, telling them to choose the gate leading to the upper floors carefully, pointing out that luck was also an important element. Each floor differs depending on the person who enters it. Guyon noticed this. He was confident the supervisor would never explain details of the test's nature, and he expected there were plans being made behind the scenes. We then move to Henry as he climbs to the floor he'll supervise, where he was puzzled by the radical change in Guyon. He had met him a month ago and he was a completely different person, weak and scared to the point where he wouldn't look anyone in the eye, keeping his head down to the ground even in front of guards, and during training, he would fall to the ground just from someone touching him or showing intent to fight. He had no dueling ability or any magical ability befitting royal family members. Henry kept repeating to himself that he couldn't believe he'd changed with such strength in a short period, as he now radiated an overwhelming and powerful aura and his body had improved greatly, no longer weak as he was. He wondered about the secret of this sudden transformation, and whether his power appeared late or if something else was happening. But he confirmed that none of this mattered, as the whole succession was just a trap to execute Jion by order of the royal family itself, and there were many princes and followers who wanted his death because his existence was shameful to them, even though his weakness posed no danger. Thus, everyone decided that Jion would die during these ceremonies, no matter how strong he became, and even if he expected the test format, he wouldn't be able to overcome it. He explained that many participants from branch families would also be killed, so no one would suspect the truth of what happened, as these were the orders everyone received. The scene returned to Jion, watching all participants rushing toward the gates to ascend to the upper floors, repeating that they must hurry because only the first 3 would succeed, and there were 3 gates with only 1 winner per gate. Lynette ran toward the gates with them, determined to win, but suddenly stopped watching Jion with amazement as he didn't move from his place, so she asked herself about the secret of his not moving. Then File called her and asked why she stopped, confirming he would enter and beat her if she didn't move immediately, insisting he would be among the winners. Then ran and entered the gate in front of him, so Lynette quickly followed, saying she would enter with him and had no choice but to win too. Meanwhile, Jion waited until the others chose their gates, and when the hall was empty, He chose one of the doors and entered, telling himself that rushing in tests like these was often a mistake even if you were confident in your strength. Jian advanced through the place, contemplating the possible tests the organizers prepared, wondering about their purpose in testing the new emperor's qualities and strength, feeling there was something in the matter he hadn't understood yet. He reached a strange door, and as soon as he crossed it, the door closed behind him. At that moment, he sensed the surrounding place and heard a sound like water flowing, but it wasn't running water, more like strange noise. He examined the ground to be shocked by the presence of a huge number of flesh-eating insects heading toward him to attack. Jian kept wondering what was happening. This isn't a test. Any normal person would die the moment these insects touch them. Then he wondered if they had changed the exam for the other participants, or if they had invented a way for them to bypass the insects. He confirmed to himself that he could get past the insects easily using his intelligence and movements, but he didn't intend to do it through normal methods, especially since he now possessed 2 black star powers and needed to test his new strength and show it off to everyone. At that moment, he began using his special black star ability. Having 1 star made me a strong person, but now having 2 stars represents a huge difference in power. He immediately used his ability, Sea of Darkness, covering the entire ground with his darkness and destroying the insects that attacked him. He added, "The presence of my darkness cancels any other existence, and I'm the only one who doesn't perish within it." He kept advancing until he reached the other end of the hall. He wondered aloud if the supervisors were watching him, and confidently confirmed they were now in great confusion and didn't understand what was happening. Guion continued advancing until he reached the next floor, and was surprised that the second test was a huge maze, thinking at first that it was easy and he would enter through the maze door and start immediately, but suddenly he noticed someone approaching him quickly. Jian immediately knew the test wasn't just a maze. That person attacked him, and Jian dodged his attack quickly and expertly, then watched him to realize he was a Death Knight. He wondered, since when does the royal family use zombies in succession ceremonies? Either they've lost their minds, or they don't want anyone to succeed this year. The knight attacked him quickly, trying to hit him, and Guion was dodging the strikes with agility, then used his special ability, Darkness Vision, to be able to see the zombie's heart and energy source. "I've finally found it." The zombie's body suddenly moved in front of Jian, so Jian stopped the knight's movement with his ability and shadow magic, then attacked and completely destroyed its body. "You're strong, but you're no match for me." But it wasn't over. A large number of dark knights appeared before him, preparing to attack. Jian laughed. "I was sure something was wrong here." He unleashed more shadow magic. "If you want to catch me this badly, you shouldn't reveal your intentions so naively."